it's hard to trust someone from a credibility perspective when it comes to business and sales when they're in really, really poor shape. Because if you don't have the discipline for yourself, you sure as shit don't have the discipline for your business. The majority of people that are very successful when it comes to business, they're locked in and have that aura, is because they hold themselves accountable first and foremost, and everything else follows suit. Whether it's real estate or business or personal life, how you deal with adversity when shit hits the fan, that's very telling. And that's where people have to do a better job. And going into things expecting success is a great thing. That's not being arrogant, it's being confident. But if you go into things expecting to fail or fearing failure too much, you should have a healthy respect of a fear of failure.
All right, so welcome back to another episode of Flippin SoFlo. This one's going to be awesome. This man needs no introduction. A lot of you real estate investors that follow me, you probably know this man. Hopefully, it's because you were doing a probate or something like that. Sometimes if you have to call this guy, it's because you need to sue somebody or enforce a contract. It's an unfortunate but fortunate side of our business, right? It's a double-edged sword. But Gio Borges, I know him as Gio, okay? Mm-hmm. Sometimes I call him Goose. Sometimes I call him Maverick. Depends on how good he did that day, you know? We have a strong liking, love for Top Gun. You know, we hit it off many years ago for that, but we'll get into that story. So I appreciate you being here.
Of course, man. I'm happy to finally see the official office, and I've seen this in the parking lot so many times on Instagram, so it's nice to finally actually be here. And obviously, you know, we've been friends for a very long time through business, and we've been through a ton of battles, legal battles, on and off the court. So I'm excited to kind of discuss some of that and see where it goes. Before we get started on the good stuff, I do have a little surprise gift for you.
Oh, shit.
I've been trying to hide it in my bag the whole time.
I was wondering why you had your backpack there.
Yeah, I looked a little sketchy holding my bag, but I had a little something for you.
Wow, this is nice. You knew about this?
Yeah, I showed him. Savannah knows about it. Basically, everyone knows about it except for you.
Holy shit.
But I wanted to
Am I going to cry?
give it to you. You might.
So, oh, dude.
A little something for you.
Oh, man. Thank you so much, bro.
Many nights when I would wake up on your couch after a long night of partying back in our prime.
Apollo.
That was the first face I saw every morning.
I appreciate you, man.
Of course, man.
Of course, thank you. Of course. Oh, man, that's cool for the camera. This is my dog. Obviously, he passed away recently. Had to put him down, but he was with me for a long time. There's a Cuban link. Gio knew him all too well. And,
I said that's the first face I saw. You know, waking up hungover on the couch. And he would look at me with that look of disappointment, saying, are we really doing this again? So, you know, I knew Apollo for a long time, man. He was a great dog, always friendly to me. And I made sure when I had the picture graded that they had to include the Cuban link. They sent me a draft of it, and there was no Cuban link. I said, no. I said, I need the Cuban link. I needed to say, you know, Apollo on there. And, you know, I texted with Savannah. And she was a big part, and I said, I need you to send me the best, most sexy picture of Apollo. So we went through a bunch, and
he looks great.
He looks like a natural model there. So, yeah, man.
Well, thank you very much,
of course,
bro.
Man. Great
appreciate
dog.
you. Really.
Of course.
Thank you.
So,
Get yourself good friends, guys. There you go. That's the key, man. I really
man.
appreciate that. That's super nice of you. Thank you.
Of course.
Well, let me roll back into this. I did get teary-eyed.
See, this guy always has something to say. So for once, I think there might be a moment where Will actually is speechless and doesn't have something to say, which is rare. So enjoy it, because you may never see that on another video.
Yeah, it's hard not to. Thank you.
Of course.
That hit home. Thank you. Wow. All right. So
why don't we start off how we met?
Moving back.
How long ago we met?
Yeah. Let's go back to. I got to get my mindset back, but let's go back to. We've known each other for 6 years now, almost.
Yeah, say 2019, give or take.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, because Westchester, you did the unlawful detainer.
I came in on the back end, I think. I think we were working together when I was still a paralegal. I hadn't passed the bar yet. And I just passed the bar, and I think another attorney was handling it, but I was pretty much doing the work on the back end.
Yes, I forgot her name. The older
Kathleen,
lady.
I think.
Kathleen.
So I came in on the back end of that. You had a massive deal, and that's when you had first started working with Ryan's office.
Yep.
And after that, you know, you obviously started engaging in more litigation. You saw the benefits of what litigation can bring to you, especially on the hairy deals, which eventually led to reverse flip. You know, we'll get there. And I think we started working together just on some basic, specific performance cases, probates, basically anything that caused a possible issue before closing. We started working on that together, and then obviously the rest is history.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun nights together too. Back when I used to drink and party and stuff like that. We did have a lot of fun nights at the BK Lounge. He has a. For those of you that don't know, the BK Lounge is the Burger King Lounge. Okay, so he has a video of me ordering at a drive-through at Burger King. Which it's interesting to watch today because I'm like, God, you were such a piece of shit.
That's after we had a full dinner at Del Frisco's.
Yeah.
You just couldn't get
night.
enough. And so after drinking and all that, you insisted on going to Burger King.
Yeah.
Getting burgers or whatever it is you ordered. And I'm glad that we're no longer, well, not we, because I didn't do Burger King, you did. But I'm glad you moved past that lifestyle. And then obviously we've moved past the drinking and the partying and all that. But
that's right.
That was necessary, I think, in our earlier years is to get that out of your system to go through it. Because if you don't, I think just that temptation is always there, kind of especially as men, with what's told to us through society of what you're supposed to do and how you're supposed to have fun. So I'm glad that we did that, got it out of our system, and we're obviously we wouldn't be where we're at now without learning from our mistakes. So those were good times, obviously, but I think we really got along. Obviously, we were working together, but we just got we never met. We worked together for like 6 months or almost a year.
Yeah.
And all we really knew was just phone calls. I knew what your voice sounded like you were my pen pal. I think I saw a picture of you maybe like on Instagram or something.
I wasn't even on Instagram.
You didn't even post on Instagram.
No.
You had one video of you skydiving with a helmet, and that was it.
With the helmet.
And so we talked for almost a year, and would spend many late nights just talking about different cases and life and philosophical stuff like we still do.
And then
ultimately we met. Bill Moore had a great time, and the rest was history. But I think what really gravitated me towards you in terms of being a friend and obviously in our business relationship is you never questioned. If I sent you an invoice, you never questioned it. You never said, "Oh man, what's this for? Can I get a discount?" You paid that shit in 20 seconds, and then all the records of the fastest invoices that I ever had,
I pride myself on that.
Top 5, it was you on this day, you on this day, you on this day, you on this day. So naturally, I liked you as a client. So I'm like, this guy's great. He values the services I provide.
That was the effect I wanted.
He's not asking for discounts. He's not insulting me and blowing me up. But at the same time, you weren't an annoying client.
No.
If you asked me questions, it was a legitimate question. It was in a respectful way. Hey, do you have some time to talk today, or let me know? You weren't just calling me out of the blue, blowing me up, just you kind of respected my time, which was great. So that was a great way where we really started to build our business relationship, which translated to a ton of other deals. But that's really made me kind of like working with you and obviously prioritizing your cases, and we took off from there. But that's a rare trait that not a lot of, I think, investors or even clients in my industry have. I'm not here to bash anyone else. I'm not saying you have to pay your invoices in 20 seconds like you did, but if you want to separate yourself from other people or other competitors in the industry, when you're working with vendors, and it's not just attorneys, whether it's a mentor, an attorney, a title company, an appraiser, whatever it is, there's certain ways that you can set yourself out from a lot of other people. And you had all of those characteristics.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, I've always been a subscriber to the fact of if you want the best, the best has a certain rate. The best, why would the best pay attention to you? Especially if it's a newer relationship. Right. So for me, my mentality's always been pay to play. And, simplest example I give people is you go to Disney World or Universal Studios, you don't want to wait in line.
Fast pass.
Pay the fast pass or whatever the hell the other one's called. It's a lot more money, right? But I'm not waiting with the dipshits.
And you pay for what you get.
Yeah, you get what you pay for.
Every single ride in the entire theme park, as opposed to maybe sweating your ass off in line and just to hit 2 or 3 rides.
Why would you? If you're not willing to do that, that's cool. Just don't expect a different level of service, right? A lot of people, and I've coached over 1,000 people now at this point. Like, it's one thing that I instill to everybody. Like Oscar, right? One of your biggest client right now.
Yep.
I mentored him for 2 years. So I always told him that. I go, dude, you pay. And you pay well, especially when I find it hilarious in the real estate investing space, right? These guys, we will go out and get, a $300,000 house. You'll spend $50,000 rehabbing it, whatever. You're gonna make an $80K profit, but you want to skimp out on the cameraman. You want to skimp out on not taking pictures. You want to skimp out on the probate attorney. You want a probate attorney from Probates R Us, right? You're not willing to invest in, that's real number one.
Right.
You're not willing to invest in a Gio Borges, right? A guy that could get a probate done for you in 3-4 days if the circumstances permit it.
Fastest one I ever did, 3 business days.
That's right. Look at that, dude. That's Broward County?
That was Dade, actually.
Dade, wow. Yep. Broward's usually fast.
It is. Not every case is like that, obviously.
Yeah.
When I have an easy case, I can push it. But
yeah, we'll get into probates, but yeah, man, you guys have a broken mindset when it comes to that. they're still using the cheapest accountant because it was like their cousin or something. Right? And now these guys are making $500,000 a year, and they're like, bro, I don't understand. I'm paying the IRS. I'm like, dude, I got the best accountant. That guy, I've never paid my accountant. That's funny enough. He always pays me. And I say that because he saves me so much money that I don't pay the IRS a dime. So whatever it is that his invoice is, dude, is worth its weight in gold, and as you're leveling up in your career too, you have to elevate your vendors. Either have to come up to the level that you're playing at or upgrade your vendors. There's nothing wrong with that, right? That doesn't make them bad people. It just means that you require a different level of service now. And maybe it's time to move on, right? But when I met you, you were at another law firm, and you didn't do the title side. You've always focused on the legal side. Probates. You used to do evictions, not anymore. A lot of demand letters. God, this guy is the demand letter king. A lot of LPs.
I like LP king better.
That's right. That's his license plate now.
I've commonly referred to an LP is a nickname for noticeless pendants. A lot of investors don't understand that an LP is not a lawsuit. A noticeless pendants is a document that accompanies a lawsuit that concerns or encumbers a property. If the lawsuit's about breach of contract for a property or involves the property in some form, noticeless pendants is a separate document that can only be filed with the lawsuit itself.
That's right.
Once a noticeless pendants is recorded, it's essentially a lien on the property, and it tells any third parties out there or the general public, hey, there is a lawsuit for X, Y, and Z concerning this property. The significance of the LP is that no one will ever close over a noticeless pendants. Very rarely is any lender going to lend on it, or are they going to do a refi or extend any type of loan when they see that the property is in litigation. So that's the benefit of it. But many investors say, hey, can we file an LP? And I'm like, no, we don't. Stop saying that. You're going to file a complaint, which is the formal name for a lawsuit, for specific performance or for partition or for whatever it is. And then, yes, I will file a noticeless pendants that accompanies that.
It's also called a cloud. We call that clouding title.
Yeah.
I'm a master cloud maker. I love to cloud titles when it needs it. But it's funny because I've clouded so much title, but now on the RF side, I uncloud title, right?
You're taking title.
Exactly. And I'm unclouding, though, like from all the other shit that's behind it, the mortgage or the liens or the IRS, right? Or the DOJ lien that we just did. It was $11 million. We got it mitigated down to $85,000.
Wow.
That's the biggest discount I've ever heard of from $11 million restitution.
That's impressive.
We got it done in 4 weeks. Again, your network is your net worth. My attorney, my title attorney on that side, knew an attorney that knew the assistant state's attorney that knew the state's attorney that was ultimately the decision maker on that. And it's really unheard of. Like DOJ judgments you don't even get an answer in 6 months, right?
Yeah, so it's the government. What do you expect?
Yeah, but the JV that came along, I mean, I don't know anybody else in South Florida that could grab an $11 million judgment and just go, whoop.
Yeah, no chance.
We still made 6 figures on the deal, which was dope. Pissed me off though because the DOJ lady, if she's watching right now, I'm happy to pay.
Yeah, the moral of the story is that your vendor and who's on your actual team and the people make the biggest difference. And it's not just a lot of investors I work with. They have very short-term memory. They only focus on one deal.
That's a good way to put it.
They're not thinking about the next 20 or the next 100 deals. Sure, yes, it's important to focus on one deal, but you have to have that mindset for the longevity of your business and your career. If you have that mindset for the longevity of all of your deals, not just one, we're talking about millions or possibly hundreds of millions of dollars of lost profit that you can see. And we'll get to that when we talk about litigation and the importance of litigation and clouding title and getting probates done correctly and knowing the right questions to answer or to ask certain heirs or sellers when you're under contract. But you have to have that mindset, and like the mindset that you have, that Oscar has. You're not just looking at 2025. You're looking at it for the next 10, 15, 20 years. Exactly. How am I going to continue to evolve my business and grow it over the course of the next 15 and 20 years? And that's not an easy answer. But part of it is applying that approach that you just said with the vendors and the people on your team.
Yeah. There's 2 ways to build any business, and anyone who's watching, take this to the bank. 2 ways, transactionally or relationship-wise. I've always built my business on relationships. Relationship capital, we were just talking about that with Mike on the previous show. And dude, I would not be anywhere near where I'm at in my career today if it wasn't for the relationships, right? Because any guy can do a bunch of transactions, make a lot of noise, but they can't make that next step up to that next level of business, whatever it be, commercial, whatever it is. without relationships.
Right.
At some point, you know, COVID was a great example for me. When COVID, you know, and shit hit the fan for everybody, I had built relationships with guys like you and title companies and lenders, most importantly, that were willing to lend to me when a time where no one else was willing to lend on real estate.
Solely because of the relationship
Correct.
and nothing else.
That's right.
And that's what's going to separate you, or not just you specifically, but for any investors that are listening, when you have those relationships, that's what's going to separate you from every other competitor that you have that's
100%.
trying to get the same thing done.
It's the simplest thing to do, too. Like pay a fucking invoice on time. Never be the client that is a pain in the ass to that vendor. You guys have to change that mindset. Well, I'm paying. Yeah, no, you are paying, but they have a lot of other guys that pay. You know, what's the difference between you and that guy? All right. Do you send a gift? You don't remember I used to send you Chipotle randomly to the office and stuff like that.
You would ask me to prepare a quick claim deed on 20 minutes notice when I was eating lunch, and you said, I really need this. It's important to me. I'll obviously pay an expedited fee. And then you would say, by the way, what are you eating for lunch or whatever? And you'd order me food to the office. Not that I was doing the deed because I wanted free Chipotle, but I was like, you know, that's really nice. Yeah. I was like, man, the little things like that are how you build that relationship. So I'm not saying you got to bribe people with food or things like that, but it's like, you know, he's actually considerate of my time and you respect my time, because a lot of people in this industry and investors, they don't understand the importance of certain professionals' time. When people just, and it kind of pisses me off sometimes when certain people will just call me out of the blue. Like you saw, we were having lunch right before this. I get a random person that calls me, and it's, you know, Saturday at 1 o'clock, who I've never worked with, and they call and they don't even know what to say, and it takes 10 minutes just for them to tell me what it is. And you know, I think respecting certain vendors and professionals' time goes a long way. So
it does.
Little things that separate certain, like for example, certain investors I work with, getting a simple text or a simple email, hey, I have a couple questions. Can we set up a time to call? Let me know what's best for your schedule. Being respectful like that, to me, goes a long way, because it shows that they value my time, and they're not just going to call me at 11 or 12 o'clock in the middle of the day, knowing I got a ton of stuff to do. I'm either in court or whatever it is, and just expecting me to just stop what I'm doing and then let me listen to your call and go through all your hypotheticals for a quick question. And it's never a quick question when you call an attorney. I've been telling everyone to stop doing that shit.
There's no such thing as a quick question.
There's not.
I get it on my side of the coin, which is always, can I pick your brain? I'm like, no, you should pick your nose, not my brain. It is absolutely the biggest turnoff for me. You will never get my time that way.
Right.
You should add value, right? No matter what. And I've always, dude, I talk to vendors like that directly, even if it's a new vendor. I'm like, listen, I totally understand. I can probably assume that you're very busy with a lot of clients.
Right.
I am willing to pay for that time to be bumped up to the front of the line if that's something you're willing to do, just because I'm very serious and I'm looking to forge this relationship. I don't work with anybody at this point in my career that's not a personal referral. That's a big one for me too. I need to know someone. Like if I'm looking for an attorney that does a specific bankruptcy or specific niche, foreclosure defense, whatever it is, I come to you first, you know, or Gus or Nick, right? I'm going to come to one of you, or Jordan Wagner, and I'm going to say, hey, who do you know that you would recommend to defend a foreclosure for you?
Right.
Because that's the guy that I want, or the girl that I want. I don't want Google,
search
rocket
right.
lawyer.
Right.
Like, dude, but so many guys are in that mentality, and they're like, who's the cheapest attorney I can find? I'm like, cheapest synonymous with shit. If they're cheap, that means they're not busy. If they're not busy, that means they don't have experience. And if they don't have experience, it's because they suck. They, you know, at least right now in their career.
Like
I don't want that
barbershop.
guy.
You see everyone. You see one barber that's got 3 people waiting for him. And there's a guy in the back corner. He's just sitting there dicking around on his phone.
That's not the guy I want.
If you got to pick between the two,
No.
who are you going to for your haircut?
Yeah, bro. 100%. I don't want, listen, if it came down to it and I needed brain surgery and there were Harvard grads, I do not want the brain surgery from number 200 out of his class of 200. I want the guy that was number 1 to be that guy. Right. And I think in business, time is money. More so than any other. I mean, time is always money, but in business, that's probably the biggest thing in business. You know, you pay for what you get usually, right? And
not always, but most of the time.
Most of the time, it is the easiest distinguishing factor to get higher quality. You know, a Corolla gets you to A to B, and so does a McLaren, for example. There's just a little different on the effect and the networking that you get from it, right? So going back to I mean, you've been an attorney for how many years now?
Coming up on 6.
6. So this guy is how many cases do you think you've done in your career? Ballpark.
I was on a podcast for Julian Castle. I think he interviewed you and Oscar as well.
Good kid.
Yeah, it was great. He asked me the same question, so I actually looked at it, and this was maybe a month ago. Active lawsuits or probates that I've either been represented plaintiff or defendant, I think I'm in the 800 range, give or take.
It's a lot.
That doesn't include pre-litigation things. So there's many disputes that we've sent demand letters on, or we've negotiated or threatened to sue. There are pretty much many lawsuits just before they were actually filed with the court. So if I had to guess how many of those, in addition to the 800 active cases, at least 1,500, and then somewhere in that range.
Well, what about all the other time, too, that you clerked and you had all that experience as a paralegal and all that?
That's a lot. So
yeah,
I'll preface this, and a lot of people, sometimes they see me, I look young, I don't have a nice, strong beard like you do, unfortunately. I don't think that beard's ever coming, but so I kind of have a young face, and even sometimes when judges see me, they kind of look like I just passed the bar. But what I like to tell people is that, I have more experience, I think, than most attorneys that are twice my age or have been practicing for 20 or 30 years. And the reason I say that is I started in the industry as a paralegal in 2014. And I was paralegal for about 2 or 3 years, and that's where I learned really about real estate litigation, real estate, court dockets, how to draft things like that. And I got the best experience and a ton of networking opportunities when I was a paralegal. And that's what really helped me become a great attorney, because once I did pass the bar, I didn't really need an attorney to train me to do anything because I had been doing it for so long. When I was paralegal and I finished doing all that, then I went to law school, and I clerked all 3 years when I was in law school full-time. So most of the time, people will either do law school part-time and then work during the day, and then some kids would work a couple hours here and there if they were full-time in law school. I saw the big picture, and the firm that I was at was teaching me a ton of experience on all the stuff I do now: probate, partition, estate planning, real estate litigation, LPs, all the good stuff.
Yeah.
And so I did all that all 3 years during law school, and I was working 20, 40-hour weeks, which was a lot to juggle with law school in between. But I was doing all the exact same stuff, minus going to court, and obviously arguing. But I was doing all the exact same stuff that an attorney would be doing. It just wasn't my name on the pleadings. And so I had a ton of experience doing that. That's where I made a lot of my connections with a lot of clients I still work with today. The Mathis twins, Eric Malinowski, and
Tall. Friends.
The list is long and distinguished. I can go on forever with that list.
Yeah.
But so I was making all these connections. I was getting real-time experience. So by the time the bar came and I passed, it was no different except, okay, now I get to go to court and argue stuff, but it was nothing new to me. So I've been an attorney for 6 years, but I would like to think I've really been in the industry since 2014. So my math isn't great. What's that, 11 years?
11 years.
And then before that, I went to UCF for undergrad. I also interned at a ton of law firms when I was there. So if you really want to get pushy from there, I'd really been in the game for 16, 17 years.
Wow.
Despite being an attorney for 6 years. So I think that's what stands out. And then the second layer to that is working with investors. I get thrown all the shit. I get the piles of shit from you to Oscar to Eric and Tal to all the other investors I get. I'm willing to take on the shit. A lot of other real estate attorneys, they don't litigate. All they do is transactional stuff. There's nothing wrong with that. Mm-hmm. But you need someone that has the experience, that has the creative knowledge, willing to take on the risky deals like that probate we were talking about, with Josh. That one's a shit show. But my ability, I think, what separates me from a lot of people in the industry is I've taken massive risks, risky cases, super complex cases, and obviously with a good understanding with the client, we're not always going to win or whatever it is, but my willingness to take chances and to do difficult things has really helped me build, my career and where I'm at now. So when I do get an easy deal or with something that I consider easy, there's not a lot of stuff I haven't seen. When it comes to a probate, I'm not going to say I'm the best probate attorney ever. Or I'm the best probate attorney in Florida, because that'd be incompetent to say.
I would say you are. I'll say it for you, but
I appreciate
you
that.
are.
So I'm not going to say that. The Florida bar doesn't let me say it anyways, even if I did think that. But there hasn't been a fact pattern that's been brought to me recently that I haven't seen.
Fact pattern. That's how you know he's an attorney.
Whether there's Cuban heirs or
Cuban heirs.
We did a probate. I think
those are heirs in Cuba.
Right. When I say Cuban heirs, meaning it's someone that lives in Cuba.
It's not like a millionaire who's a Cuban.
No.
Cuban heir,
It's someone that's a Cuban national. It's not a U.S. citizen that's inheriting assets through the U.S. And through federal regulations and the embargo, there's a whole process to that, which is extremely tedious. So from stuff like that to where we had that. Do you remember the Striggles deal? You were on it with Oscar. Maybe it was just Oscar, we had, I think, 36 heirs.
Yes, I do remember.
I did maybe 6 probates for them. And each of the heirs, I really wanted to bring the sheet. I forgot to bring it today. We did the full breakdown.
Yeah,
of the 36 heirs, for one heir's interest was 1/7 of a 1/3 of a 1/9 of a 1/12 interest. I'm not kidding. So I'll take a picture of that. Antonio, I'll send it to you.
It's
and
like
if you want,
0.03%.
maybe you can edit it and you can kind of put it next to me right here when I'm talking so you know I'm not bullshitting. And you can see the exact breakdown. And so when I finished that case, I told myself, if I can do this shit,
yeah,
I don't care what anyone throws my way.
Yeah,
There's going to be nothing I can't do when it comes to probate. And I felt very confident after that. We had the one in the Bahamas where there was 50 heirs during COVID.
Well, the one in Thailand too.
Ton of shit. Yep.
Remember that?
And we crushed that.
And we did that at the embassy with the notary over there.
Yep.
That was cool. And we've done situations where we hire PIs and stuff like that to find people. We did the triplex in Fort Lauderdale where we knew the fact that well, you weren't involved in my case, but that was Wagner. But the wife and husband were still married legally, right? This is a big nugget for you guys, right? When people say we're divorced, are you really?
It doesn't matter unless there's a final dissolution of marriage in the court.
And there's usually an MSA.
What are you going to look at? What does MSA mean for everyone?
A marriage settlement agreement.
There we go.
Come on, bro. Don't come on to my podcast and try.
If anyone has ever watched Star Wars, I feel like I'm Obi-Wan Kenobi and Will is Anakin Skywalker. Because perhaps he will surpass me one day in strength and power. But at the end of the day,
Luke. If anything, that's backward storyline, but yeah.
Anyways, the gist is I've taught Will so much. Not just me. You've invested and you've paid for what I've taught you. A lot. And you've learned from other people and other things. Sure. But this reverse flip book says Will Dennis. It should have a little contribution to Gio Borges Esquire as a special credit, but...
everyone's gonna want to get on this book now. Everyone's wait, but I was your accountant and I did this.
Will joked with me. He said, "Oh yeah, I'll give you a copy of the book." I'm like, "I don't want to read the book. I know the book. I helped write the book.
You know what the book says.
What am I going to learn in that book when I've done all that in real time?" This is the
difference, ladies and gentlemen. Not a good marketer, great marketer. Okay,
correct.
I put the book together. That's what my team did and all that. But I will say, like all BS aside, there's no way that my career and the RF strategy and all that stuff. I'm a product of having fantastic mentors, investing in myself, having great, power team vendors, like you said, like Gus and Deggy. Shout out to Gus. He's one of the GOATs in the industry. He's been around 26 years or so on the title side and done a lot of other stuff. Went through 07, 08, right? So I learned so much from guys like Jordan Wagner, a bunch of other attorneys, Nick Grandal, right? Like I just learned so much stuff. Recently, the DOJ judgment, right? I'd never really come across one, let alone an $11.5 million judgment. I mean, that's a deal killer for 99.99999% of Miami-Dade County, which is where the deal is. Lucky for me that I don't believe in deal killing, right? And there's a way around it. Right?
I know that too well. Even when I tell you, man, this is a dead deal. Like I don't want you just like, no, we need to. And then to your credit, you push. Like the probate that we just did on that land deal that you did.
1717.
That was an impossible thing. And you told me, you said, "Hey Maverick, I need you to do some pilot shit."
Hey, I did.
And when you talked me up and called me Maverick, I was like, "Oh, this guy really needs me bad."
I told you, I was like, Gio.
He only calls me Maverick when he needs something. Otherwise, I get demoted to Goose and Slider.
But what did I say though? I did say, because granted, I get it. You got a big caseload. You're doing this. You're doing that. And even though I'm your number one client of all time, that's not the point. I called you and I said, Gio, I need you to take your fucking attorney hat off and put on the creative hat. Okay, you need to go back to those ridiculous, assumption theories on the bar that you'll never see in your career, because this is one of them, and let's figure it out. And you're like, dude, all right, give me a day or two. Let me think about it. Let me do some case law digging.
I did. I did for 4 days for case law.
Yeah. But you came back with a great answer.
Couldn't find anything in the case law, but came up with a creative solution with the handwriting expert. And and
then he goes, hey, we're going to hire this guy. His name is Frank. Looks like Dr. Doolittle. And he is exact. His picture, and I'm going to find you a picture so you could pop it up here. His picture is exactly who I would want to step into court for me.
100%.
70s mustache, big glasses, with the Poindexter little pen holder, and With a suit on.
Yep.
1977. Went to Quantico. Like, the guy's legit.
And his name is Frank Norwich. If you guys want to look him up on Google, we used him as a handwriting expert to essentially invalidate a will based on our claim that the will was fraudulent, that was a forgery. And Frank went ahead and prepared a handwriting report basically saying how the signature was fake. And he testified in court. We ended up winning the case, won the probate, invalidated the will, got title to transfer to the heir that will was under contact with, and ended up slam dunking it and made $100K profit on that. I have a good story about Frank that told me, and I'll never forget this. Frank,
can you zoom in on this? I'm sorry.
No, go for it. So this is going to make the story even better.
This is the guy.
The mustache gives it away. And you see that mustache, you know he means business.
I mean that is literally who. If you went into court and I had this guy on my side, brother, you're fucked.
I don't. A lot of people bullshit me all the time. There's very few things I actually remember and stay in my mind. Frank told me a story one day. He was in a courthouse and he was an expert witness on a case, and then the other attorney on the other side of the case comes up, and I guess Frank was pissing in the urinal. Other attorney comes up next to him to start peeing in the urinal and starts talking shit to him like, oh, I'm going to shred you on cross-examination. How much are they paying you? Just giving Frank the runaround. Frank tells me, he looks over at the other guy while he's still pissing in the urinal and says, son. And I guess the other attorney's like, oh, I've been doing this shit for 20 years, whatever, I'm going to take you down. Frank, while still pissing in the urinal, looks over to the other attorney next to him and says, son, I've spent more time pissing in urinals and courthouses than you've been an attorney. He said, watch me work.
OG.
Watch me work. Went in there, and then obviously whoever Frank was testifying for, won the case. But when I heard a story like that, I'm like, man, that's badass. I hope I can say something like that one day. But Frank is my guy. And again, the power of knowledge of vendors. I had someone else, EP. Yeah. EP actually hit me up the other day and was kind of a similar situation. I was like, look, go to Frank, and you'll win the case. We'll do all that. But it goes back to knowing the right people, right? Mm-hmm. Most people don't know who Frank is, and they're probably going to find out about Frank through our podcast here. But knowing the right vendors, knowing who to call, that's such a powerful resource to have.
I was talking to Bobby Castro the other day, and he said, when I'm expanding my network of people, no matter what, even like right now, he was on one of our mastermind calls, and he said, I don't know everyone in this room. I don't know what everybody does, right? And he's supposed to be, obviously, he's the guy. He's a billionaire, right? Coming into that, he's the biggest guy in that room.
Never heard of him.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. I know who Bobby is.
Disregard that. No, but anyway, and he said, when I'm expanding my network, and if I'm meeting you, for example, I'm not just meeting you. Mm-hmm. I'm meeting your network and their networks, right? That's why I'm always digging to add value to new relationships. I find people in people's networks that they don't even think of in their own networks. Mm-hmm. And it's something I really pride myself on, right? And it's not like using people. There's a way to do it. There's an art to doing this, right? But, man, I pride myself on that, dude. I'm like, if I make a new relationship, I'm like, that's it. Who's that guy's Rolodex, right? Who's that girl's Rolodex? Because I want in. And I'm going to earn my position by adding value, right, and paying for their time in different ways and all that kind of stuff. But, dude, I always love, picture it like this. If I'm showing up to a case, or if I'm showing up to a business deal or a development deal now, right, which I'm playing with totally different players now.
Saw that.
Yeah, and, dude, I want to show up. If you could watch us showing up to a parking lot, if you could just imagine that, I want the dream team to hop out of the fucking bus. I want Magic, I want MJ, Charles Barkley, like all these guys, Steve Kerr, like all these dudes. That's the people that I want out. And when you look at my team, you're like, God, we're so fucked. Like, it's over, right? And that's what I encourage people to build their relationships like, their network like. Oscar always got that intuitively from a very early stage with me, because he saw, like, dude, I want what you have, and I'm willing to pay for it. And he did. And he was super brilliant. One of the best moves he ever did was work with me for 2 years, because we had made so much money together and we had been through so much together. Now, obviously, I saw a lot of myself in him in a younger version, but he had deserved it so much that, who's his number one attorney? Boom, it's you now, right? Who's his title company? It's my title company, right? Who's his vendors? It's his, right? Who are his lenders? It's my lenders, right? And of course, he's built his own relationships too. But my God, I mean, he did not reinvent the wheel. He just said, dude, this guy's done it. I want access to his team, and I'll earn that access. End of story. If you did nothing else, you'd be a multimillionaire just by doing that, right? But people, of course, they always want to let their mindsets in the way. And all of a sudden, that's why I'm very I'm very protective of my network. Whereas, and I'm very blunt about it. You know, you can ask anybody. I know you know, but
you being blunt.
Yeah, right. It's a surprise. But I tell people, dude, and when my community comes to you, they pay for your time.
Yep.
They say, hey, I would like to book a Zoom with you, and whatever that cost is for however many hours, whatever it is, I get nothing from that. But now they come to you the right way, and now when they call, you're gonna answer.
Of course,
because you're like, yeah, dude, I like this guy.
And they approach me the right way. And I think earlier in what we were discussing is when someone just has the courtesy to just shoot me a text or an email. Hey, I have something urgent. Is there a time, or what time is best for you? Something as simple as that to me goes such a long way.
Hell yeah!
And someone just called me out of the blue, and what sometimes, and this is just me kind of venting here, and hopefully people that are watching,
safe space. Go ahead.
People that are watching can just take note of this, just not for me, but other vendors. Or worse, when someone calls me, hey, morning, and I'll say, hey, what's up, and then they just jump straight in to just tell me their problem without asking, hey, is now a good time? Do you have 10 minutes? Do you have 15 minutes?
How was your weekend?
Just give me some bullshit talk. Hey, how was your weekend? Like when Eric calls me, and he's a good client, so he's earned that privilege. But Eric will say, hey, man, what's going on? How was your weekend? What have you been up to? How's your new hire going? Just little shit like that. I'm not saying you have to kiss someone's ass. Yeah. But little things like that show that you're at least being professional, you're being respectful to the person, and you're not just calling me, hey, good morning. Okay, so I have this file, and when I hear that, I'm like, you know, I'm working. I'm not sitting in my office.
Yeah, like you don't give a shit about me at that point.
Not doing shit, right? And so when they do that, it's very insulting, and I'm like, dude, I got shit to do. Like I'm preparing for a trial or whatever it is. Sometimes even just the basic effort of sending a text, an email, hey man, is there a time this week or even today, or if it's urgent, can we set up some time to talk? To me, that goes a long way because it shows that person's respectful of my time. Those are people I want to work with. Mm-hmm. Another person that just calls me out of the blue and just starts rambling on about something and just assumes I have nothing better to do, and I'm just going to sit down and just stop what I'm doing and listen for 45 minutes about a deal and give you free legal advice to help you make $30K, and you're going to waste my time. That's the shit that drives me crazy.
I told you to start charging a consulting fee, and then
I don't pick up the phone anymore to random people. Everything goes through the law firm. They have to talk to my assistant.
Who told you that?
You gave me a good page.
Yeah.
No, we've worked very well together. So if someone calls a firm, it goes to my assistant, and then he tells them off the bat, hey, this is what the fee is, and usually that helps eliminate half of the calls anyway.
Absolutely.
Which is great, because if they're not willing to pay that, it's like if you go to a doctor or a professional vendor to get some type of service, do you expect it to be free?
No.
Because when I'm telling you, it may take me 10 seconds to give you that answer, but it took me 15 years to be of experience and knowledge and money I spent to give you that answer in 10 seconds. And you may go to another attorney that has no clue and has no clue what they're doing. But most of the time when people call me, I almost always have an answer and some type of proposal. Mm-hmm. But that's because, and I can do it in 10, 20 seconds, but that's because of the work that I put in. So just because the call may take me 20 seconds to answer the question doesn't mean you should shortcome the value of what I'm providing.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't understand that.
Another way to say this is don't make a Navy SEAL into a mall security officer. That's just basically what it is, right? You're a high-level tactician. You have worked decades of your life at this point, over a decade, to get that level of speed and experience. Because over 800 cases, dude, I've done over 800 deals. 800 cases a lot. I mean, you and I have been through well over 150, 200 cases together.
At least 200.
I gotta be a nice chunk of that for sure. And it's like the spectrum is across the board of anything from an unlawful detainer to a simple eviction, to a partition, to a probate, to multiple probates and a partition on one file, to an adverse possession, to personal stuff.
We've seen it all.
Yeah, dude. To the handwriting expert, right? Like that kind of level of sophistication doesn't come from rocket lawyer. Right. That's for sure. You know, just to use an example. But so you start your career with a law firm, which it was a title company too. I used to close there, and then you moved on to a different law firm, which was Zendegi, right, with Gus, and shout out to Gus again. Mm-hmm. And it was nice because I got to kind of see that transition.
You were the broker of that transaction.
Yeah, I wasn't going to say it. But.
No, you introduced Gus and I to dinner, and obviously Gus and I talked. And
that was a power move. I'm very... It was. Listen.
He killed it.
Listen, I'm going to just say this right now. Now he's out on his own, but I'm going to just say this right now. For anybody listening to this podcast right now, you're welcome if you were closing with Zendegi Law Group when Gio was there, because I made all investors' lives in South Florida easier because it was exactly what everybody wanted. It was what I wanted for a long time. You know, Eric and Tall also, they started closing there. But Gus, and I love him, but he would only usually do the title side.
Right, transactional side.
Yeah, exactly. But it was always like, oh, we got to go to Gio or we got to go to somebody else, right, for the probate or the eviction. And I get it, right? He didn't want to be in that business. Fine. But then the two worlds met, and he was on his way out. He wanted the next step of his career. We were friends at this point, and Gus had called me, and that's why you always got to pay attention to what people say. And Gus said, man, you know, if you ever know of anyone, you know, like I need like a young, good fucking attorney that's willing to do all these other shit that I don't want to do, you know, and I'm happy to do it. And it was like ding in my mind. I'm like, wait a minute. Gio's looking for the next move, and Gus is a little older, right? And he's looking for that next move, and I know he sees, you know, he has to constantly outsource his stuff. Yeah. So I told you guys, I was like, hey, you guys want to meet at Lobster Bar, blah, blah, blah. I probably said 10 words in that entire lunch. You guys hit it off.
You were Pat Riley, and we were LeBron and Wade.
It was awesome.
Coming together on the Heat.
It was awesome. And, and it worked beautifully.
It did.
Because from that moment on, it was like, I mean, his business went up by 30, 40% or something.
Yeah. I remember at the time I was scared to make the move because where I was at, I was very comfortable. The office was 10 seconds away from my house. You know, I was getting paid well. You know, I was cool with everybody. So in order for me to change there, I would be driving to Gus's office, which was like an hour, 10 minutes each way. I didn't know what clients were going to choose to follow me. And at that point, I didn't know were clients with me because of me at that last firm I was at, or were they just there because of the initial attorney that was there and they worked with him and just kind of they were there for him. And thankfully, a really big amount of clients chose to follow me and bring their files to me, which was
testament
great.
To you, though, man.
For sure. And that really reassured me. And I told Gus, like, if I leave, I don't know who's coming. I can't guarantee anything. And what I love about Gus is he believed in me more than anyone else, any employer ever did, just based off of your recommendations, off of 2 dinners. And Gus even said, like, look, if you bring in no money for the first 6 months or whatever it is, I'll front the losses. We'll make it up on the back end.
Gus is a stud with that.
Gus was never cheap about anything. So you need paralegal, you need this and that. You tell me, you got it. If you need to take the day off, vacation, I don't give a shit how much vacation, just get your shit done. And what really made me appreciate for Gus, and I'll always appreciate him for this, he took a shot and believed in me, you know, when I don't think anyone else would have. And obviously you were part of that. And I'll always be thankful because when I made that move at the time, dude, I was scared. I'm like, man, am I leaving something really good?
I remember.
I have no clue. I've got to drive to Miami every day. Like, it's just I went from a 10-second commute to an hour each way. And, you know, I worked with Gus for 3 years, man. And at the time, that was the best decision of my life. And the second, you know, the best decision was opening my own law firm, which has nothing to do with Gus. That was just solely, you know, for my decision. But teaming up with Gus and working with Gus for 3 years was the best decision I made in my life at that time. And I would not be where I'm at now if it wasn't for working with Gus for those 3 years and Gus teaching me plenty of things and having that business relationship. And Gus didn't teach me a lot of stuff when it came to legal and litigation, but he showed me so much in terms of being a business owner, how to speak to clients and vendors and manage certain things and just about life. And I have nothing but fantastic things to say about Gus. So if Gus is watching this, I'll always be thankful for you, man. And I wouldn't be where I'm at in my life and have the things I have if it wasn't for you. So I love you for that and I always appreciate that. And of course, you introduced me to Gus. So you're kind of part of that. But,
yeah.
And it was hard, man, because when I left Gus, you know, it had nothing to do with Gus. I just wanted to take a shot on my own. You know, I just have my own law firm, my name on the business, you know, just things for me and my family. And it was devastating because I felt like I was breaking up with the perfect girlfriend. I was like, me and Gus are married, and I got to divorce Gus, and Gus did nothing wrong. He's been the best spouse I ever could have done. And the last part about Gus here is, what was the most impressive is when I told him, not once was he upset.
Yeah. Not
once was he combative or anything. He was ecstatic. You know, he was a little sad, you know, when I told him emotionally because, you know, he obviously, you know, was going to miss our relationship that we had. But he was extremely supportive, extremely happy for me. And I think I gave Gus like 3 months notice. And instead of it being like an awkward 3 months or anything like that, nothing changed. Yeah. Gus was super happy, like always making jokes. And to this day, even when I started, Gus calls me at least once or twice a week just to check in, shoot the breeze, talk shit, as if like
we went through a lot together, man.
Yeah, and that speaks so highly of Gus's character to be able to do that, because he could have just been like, oh man, you're leaving me, like screw you, like whatever, and then just, you know, never talk to me again, and unless it's just on business and emails. Gus still cares about me and where I'm at. So you don't meet a lot of people in the industry or in this world, that actually care for you like that. So Gus is someone, man, that will always be in my corner. I
Bro,
know the same with you as well.
To make this more about Gus, like for real, shit, Gus put up the first escrow money for me on the first deal I ever closed with him. This is going back now 7 years or so. I didn't have the money for the escrow at that time. It was like $5,000, but it was a really good deal.
Right.
And Gus put it up. He didn't need to. I was a punk ass little kid, but I don't know. It just says about Gus. I don't know if he saw something in me or whatever, but it was more about, I just learned who Gus was. And, he helped me so much throughout my career, like, teaching me stuff and showing me stuff. And, when I started to get more on the creative side of like, hey, buying a deed and, the precursor to reverse flip, my first RF deal was in 2019 with him, where Oscar Sotelo, I'll never forget it. I bought the deed. He did the quiet title. Here's a gold nugget for you young guys. You don't need money to be successful. I did not have the money for the quiet title because I bought the deed for $3,000, and I didn't know the quiet title might have cost $5,000, $7,000, whatever. I asked him, I said, would you be willing to do the legal work if I gave you a percentage of the deal if it works out? And he said, yeah. And I gave him 25% of that deal. It was awesome because we made $111,000, and I think he made like $28,000 or some shit.
He could have charged you 30%.
He could have
with the contingency.
He really could have, but he banked on it. He's like, bro, I just want to see you win, cowboy. Like that's what he would always call me. And dude, we did it, and I mean, first of all, it opened up my whole world to shit, and he taught me how to process serve and, the bank and 3 times, and then you get the satisfaction of the mortgage because of the quiet title. And like, I saw that whole play unfold, and I said, holy shit, there's a whole world out here. Up until that time, my biggest wholesale deal to date was like $22,000. So right now it was $100,000. And of course, we deepened our relationship from that because he saw, like, look at this young guy. Rather than being stingy and trying to find another attorney that would do it for nothing or whatever, he added value. That's why he wanted to help me. But shout out to Gus, man. You're on a personal level too. You've been there for me on a lot, so I appreciate you, man. Yep. And he's been through a lot of shit, so we love Gus. We got to have Gus on this thing.
100%.
I got to bring him up here. It's hard. It's going to be hard to get him up from Miami to here. But anyway, so you get to Gus. Obviously, I saw personally your business exploded, and rightfully so. You had done right by so many people at that point, and your karma was just, it was coming. Yeah. And, I've always told you, I'm like, bro, you're the best in the business. You just have to believe it, And everyone really, you became the gold standard of like, okay, when you have a legal problem or a probate, boom, you go to him. And then, I got famous. I'm just kidding. I'm not famous. But I got semi-famous, and then I started to refer you a lot of people too.
You're a big part of my business growing.
Well, yeah, but I'm not saying it for that. I'm saying it because I trust you so much because you had done so right by me for so long. And you just work, bro. It's the number one thing I respect about you. You fucking work. Like Saturday, 9 p.m. on weekdays. Like you fucking work. And I think you work so much probably for the same reason, single mom just like me. Like you just move your balls. Like you just go. And that's a respectable trait. Like that's when I know I fucking will go to battle with somebody forever because they're just willing to work, bro. I love people that work hard, that they don't just like, oh, I'm kind of fucking around. No, dude. Like if you're not available for me, I already know. I'm like, all right, that's it. Maybe if it's a legitimate reason, that's fine. But you're just always around. Right. And, when it came time to refer you over to Gus or when it came time to refer my community over to you, right, because that's my reputation now, and that's a biggie. You got to always protect your reputation. I was like, all right, I know it's going to be in great hands with Gio because he's done it right by me hundreds of times, right? And you have, and now you got this other generation of investor that's
all the mini wills.
Yeah, bro, and it's great, man, because it's one thing to make money on your own, and it's awesome, There's only so much money you can make on your own before it's kind of like, all right, well, there's another deal. And it's not that I'm ungrateful, but it's a whole other thing to see an Oscar, or to see a Mike Barone or a Rudy or all those, Josh, right, all those younger guys, to see them go and make that big pop or have that whoa. And then to hear them talk to me and be like, yeah, well, it's going to be a summary of administration, and this is how we're going to do it. We're going to get the affidavit of heirs, and we're going to get da-da-da. And they start throwing, I'm like, bro, look at this guy. This guy's quoting the Bible to me over here, you know, in the legal sense. And it's always awesome to see that, because then they go out to the marketplace and they smoke other investors because they've done the right thing, which is invest in themselves. You know, ultimately it comes back to guys like you, investing in guys like you. You know, I don't know how much money I've spent with you over the years, but it's quite a lot.
Probably worth the house. We'll leave it a very nice house.
Yeah, probably.
Yep.
I always make a joke with you. I always say my law degree cost me a lot more than yours.
Yeah.
It
yeah,
did.
yeah, it did.
It did.
It did.
But it's great, man, because at least, look, and this is another thing, and I want your opinion on this, but to the real estate investor, whether it be a wholesaler, a flipper, or true investor, right, commercial developer, whatever it is, wouldn't you agree that, yes, you have to go hire that expert like you, right? And they're going to do the probate, and they're going to know about the law, right? But wouldn't you agree that it behooves that person, the investor, to learn and ask questions and actually understand what the fuck is going on, rather than just be like, oh, I don't know. I don't know what a formal administration is. My attorney handles that.
Right.
Like, that's cute, but how can you go out and build a business or find better deals? And what I've always found is the more questions I ask you, or the more I understand or I download from you, then I go back, and when I'm presented with another lead or another opportunity, or this community now, right, like, I can teach from that position because I asked.
Or you can underwrite the deal in real time.
Correct.
So when you're on the phone with the seller or heirs or whatever it is, you don't have to say, hey, okay, I'm going to call you back. I got to talk to my attorney. You wait to get a hold of the attorney. You pass the info on. Then you go back to the person. Now they're out of town. There's a family emergency. They're sick or whatever it is. And by the time you get a hold of that heir or that lead,
poof,
now it's 2 or 3 weeks. And before you know it, officer's got a deal and the probate's already opened up. So these in this industry, it's very delicate and important to have the knowledge. And again, you don't need to be as smart as me or an attorney or know every answer to the question, but this is what I preach to on your reverse flip podcast and even the meetings. And I tell investors this: invest in your education. If you're already paying an attorney or a vendor to perform a service, ask a couple of questions. Try to understand, learn about it. Eric asks me all the time, okay, so after 20 days we file a motion for default. We have to serve them via publication. What do we have to do? He's not doing that to be tedious. He's doing it so he understands the process, so that he can then let his end buyer know, or his team, and train everyone else and explain the process. So now we can anticipate. We're going to tell the buyer we have to serve them via publication. This is what goes into it. This is the timelines. Realistically, we're going to get a judgment, and we're going to be able to close in this time. But especially if you're going after the probate leads, understanding the intestate laws and different fact patterns and scenarios. And I tell Mike, Rudy, Josh all this, and they're really learning well. When you pick up that phone call, whether it's you or someone on your team, you should already know all the questions to ask, and whatever answer they give you, within reason, you should be able to identify who the right heir is, what percentage they get, because it's not just you talking to those heirs on the phone. It's you and 100 other investors going after the same damn lead, and these people are getting blown up. So when you have these people that are getting approached by all different investors promising them the same shit, cash closing in 1 week, blah, 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 all this bullshit, right? You got that investor sell them. Ultimately, and this is just basic sales training, who are you going to go with? Are you going to go with the 4 guys that say, okay, yeah, I'm going to have to talk to the probate attorney. Can you fill out this form? Or, let me get back to you on this and see what's what. Or are you going to go with Oscar, who says, okay, based on the information you gave me, we can file a summary administration. It's going to be in Miami-Dade. Depending on which judge we can probably get it done in under 30 days. Here's the documents we need. We need a copy of the paid funeral bill. We need the original death certificate. If they've been dead for more than 2 years, we don't have to worry about creditors, and we don't need a paid funeral bill. Were you survived by a spouse? No. Okay, there's 4 kids. Each of you guys are going to get 25% interest. Who's on board? Who's not on board? And then understanding partition and litigation and everything else, now you understand, okay, we have 2 heirs on board. So that means I can lock up 50%, the other 2. So now I already know this is going to be a probate and a partition. And so then you can restructure the deal when you're talking to the heirs. Normally, if there's no partition involved, heir number 1 and 2, if everybody's on board, this is the purchase price I could buy it at. We close within 30 days when the probate's done. However, you have 2 people or 2 siblings. One's in Washington, one lives in the property. That means we're going to have to do partition. We're going to have to do a writ of possession to get them out at the end and serve them and whatever it is. Because of that, now the fee structure of what we're going to agree to changes, because now these people don't have money to pay for attorney's fees for the probate and the partition and the resources and all that. So if the buyer or the investor is assuming all these fees, Now you have to restructure the deal. And you can do all this in real time if you know the right things. And that's what's going to separate you from the other 5 dipshits, that are calling these people that have no clue what they're doing. So
Dipshit,
I learned that from him. So
blaming me.
So it's almost like selling a car. But if you're an heir, who are you going to go with? Are you going to go with Oscar, who just explained everything that I just explained in the last minute?
Of course.
Or are you going to go with the other 4 guys that are saying, yeah, okay, well, let me see, get back to the team.
Confidence sells, bro.
Exactly. And it's not, and really, you're just being truthful to these people. You're just giving them information that if they were to go and hire an attorney, the attorney would probably say the same thing, assuming the info from the investor is correct. So you're almost doing them a service. You're giving, I don't want to say you're giving them free legal advice because that's not the correct terminology since it's coming from a non-attorney, but you're helping these people see what their problems are. And what do you say? The bigger the problem, the bigger the profit.
Yep.
But these are people a lot of times that don't even know they have an interest in the property. They don't live there. They don't want to hire a realtor, and they don't want to have to pay 6% commission. And even if they do hire a realtor, the realtor is going to sell it on the MLS and try to sell it retail. And all the buyers that are coming off the MLS and retail, they're using some type of financing. The condition of the property most of the time is not in financing condition. It's not going to pass any inspections. There's squatters in there. There's people that are not going to leave. They're not going to give access to the property to buyers. So a lot of people shit on investors and the investor game, but at the same time, these retail buyers and these realtors aren't touching these deals. And these potential retail buyers are not fronting all the money for the attorney's fees and the costs and the risk to be in litigation for 2 years.
They can't even read a title commitment. Most title companies, and here's the reality, most title companies, which is why I only ever closed in my career with an attorney
owned and operated
title company. Why? Because we are in a sticky business, sticky, hairy business. We are not in clean properties. Haven't seen one till this day.
Join the club.
800 plus later for both of us. The reality is, when shit hits the fan, and it will hit the fan at some point, more often than not, you better make sure you got extra blades for that fan. And the only way I know to do that is my attorney knows exactly what to do, and they know, hey, don't worry about it, bro. We've seen this movie 600 times. Watch this. We're going to get a homestead affidavit, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do that. Or maybe we get a non-ID affidavit. That wasn't even their judgment. It was their homestead, so the judgment doesn't even attach, right? See what I'm saying? Like, dude, most people most title companies see an NOI, and they fucking have a heart attack. Dude, and an NOI, for any one of you guys that are watching, a notice of interest or a memorandum of contract, it's bullshit. It's bullshit. It's not even a real claim on a property. It's really not a lien.
It's a poor man's noticeless penance. It's
Exactly.
really a fraudulent lien on property.
It is slander of title.
It is
100%. And again, you see how I'm talking? I'm talking because I'm used to talking to guys this way. I can use their language and I understand it. But it's also because I've been smacked in the face, God knows how many times throughout these deals. But again, it really pays to know how the legal system works. Right. You don't need to be an attorney to do that.
Right.
But know enough as an investor to be deadly. Because I can structure a deal, and your lack or ignorance of information is the difference between my sales guy, for example, being on a call, hearing one thing and saying, ooh, partition, this guy owns 50%, we'll buy it for 20 grand. His 50%'s worth 150. I already know we got 130 locked in profit. Now we go after the other one, and you didn't hear it because you don't know, because you bought the Mickey Mouse wholesaler course, and you refuse to close at a real title company, and you refuse to use, or to pay for good legal counsel, not just any legal counsel. Right. Not all attorneys, by the way, are smart. Sorry, spoiler alert. It's just true.
No comment.
Not all doctors are smart. It's the truth. You think all astronauts are smart? No. There's the guy that goes up to space, and there's the guy that stays on the ground. There's a reason for that, right? And there's a lot of factors that go into that. But you catch my drift. What I'm saying is, just because somebody holds a CFA or CFP or an ESQ title or a PA doesn't mean shit.
I agree.
They're human. They're normal, and they could have been the bottom of their class. Just remember that. But it is your responsibility as an investor, a true investor, to actually educate yourself, because you need to know, why the hell is my attorney doing this, right?
Man, and you know what I tell investors is that whatever you pay me or another attorney or anyone or Will or whatever it is to train you how to read a docket, how to read a title commitment, how to go through the pleadings, and how to study the law and intestate succession, I'll just throw a number out there. Let's say $5K, and you get a ton of Zoom sessions, you get a ton of one-on-one, right? You spend $5K. A A lot of investors flinch at that. Oh man, 5K, that's a lot of money. I don't know. Can you do some? That 5K is teaching you knowledge that you will use for the rest of your career and your life as an investor. That knowledge that you learn for that 5K or whatever that amount is the difference between you and someone else locking that deal up. And if you get one deal because of that knowledge that you just, let's just say on your worst day or the next 20 years as an investor, you get one deal based off of the knowledge that you paid for that 5K. Majority of the time, you're probably making more than 5K on that, and you're making your money back. And this is stuff that you can apply to your business. This is stuff that you can teach your employees, your agents, your callers, all this other stuff. So it behooves me when people flinch at what I charge to teach them. And this is a one-on-one session with an attorney. And most attorneys don't even do that. You know, they don't even offer services where, hey, let's do a one-on-one Zoom, and I will teach you about partitions and how to read dockets and intestate succession and so forth, and you're paying for my time. So even if it's just a basic consultation, and I tell someone, yeah, $400 an hour, $500, whatever an hour is, and then they go silent or they go cheap. You're scared to spend $500 on a deal that you can make $50,000 on?
I know, dude.
Make it make sense. I don't understand that.
It will never, stupid never makes sense.
So to Oscar's credit, when Oscar was really coming up, I can't tell you how many Zoom sessions we did together. Oscar asked great questions. Tell me about process serving. What's the difference between substitute service, publication, and individual service? What's the difference between a motion for clerk to enter default and a judicial default? What's the difference between formal and summary? What are timelines? Which judges are fast? Which are quick? So when I look at the docket, I know who's more strict and who's not. He put in the work, and I can't tell you how many hours we spent. I also trained his team. Yep. Helped him build his, all of his SOPs, everything else. And right now, Oscar is the smartest investor I've ever encountered when it comes to probate. There is no probate deal. I mean, he's not smarter than me when it comes to probate. He's very close, Obi-Wan and Anakin scenario there. Oscar knows more about probate than probably 80% of probate attorneys out there. And it's not because Oscar's the smartest guy in the world or Oscar did anything special. All he did was invest in his education, put in the work, take the initiative to actually learn about all these deals that he's doing. And I don't understand why, if you're an investor and you're paying a title company or attorney or some type of vendor thousands of dollars to perform a service, why not ask some questions? Now, I'm not saying to be super annoying and ask a million questions and ask the attorney every 2 seconds to be annoying, but something that you did a lot when we first started working together in a respectful way, you said, hey, can you just tell me a little bit about this? Like, I have the fact pattern. Why would this be a summary? Why would this be a formal? What other documents do we need? Why do we need these documents? And you always ask great questions, which helps you learn. And guess what? The more you learn as an investor, that's less things you have to ask the attorney or another vendor. So when you get all that info, you can underwrite the deal yourself. And what's great with Oscar, when he sends me a new deal or his assistant sends me the new deal, they have everything out. She draws a family chart. She has everything set up in case we have to show it to the judge. This is how we interpreted it. We have this error, this error. This is the date of death. This is homestead. This is not homestead. They draft all the documents just for me to look at and they have all the info there. We have the original DC. We already ordered the DC. So why would I not prioritize Oscar's files when I have someone like that took the time to learn the process, sends me all that info, and makes my job so much easier to where I can look at it and spend a lot less time. And you know what the craziest part about that is? Not once did Oscar ask me for a discounted rate, despite his assistant preparing the documents for me to look at and review and giving me all this info. If I need to reach out to the heirs, they'll help facilitate the execution of the documents to verify info so I don't have to call or my assistant doesn't have to call. And not once did he ever ask for a discount despite his team doing a lot more work. So when I see a client like that, I'm not saying every client has to be like that, but that's the gold standard. And that's why Oscar right now is my most lucrative client and why he will always get priority. And the last note about Oscar, he doesn't call me. He doesn't text me. He'll send me an email. Wait a couple of days. If I don't respond, he'll send a follow-up. Oscar will text me, hey, let me know if I can call you. And he never calls me. And if he does, hey, I know your time is valuable. Quick question. Here it is, 2 minutes. And that's very respectful. I wish everybody was like that, but that's not the world we live in. But if there's anything that any investor is watching from this that I can say is useful, is invest in your education, whether it's probate or partitions or whatever niche that you're in. Spend the money to learn what you're doing. Why would you not do that? Yeah. Instead of just paying someone just to do everything for you. Well, that's what separates you. He came with great pedigree. So I'm very proud of Oscar because he's my best product. He's a walking billboard. He really is.
I'm proud of him because it wasn't just me. I mean, he earned that, and he earned his stripes in his own right. You know, he put up the work. He showed up, which is like fucking 80% of the battle.
And one more thing that Oscar, you and I share, all come from single mothers. Not that makes us better than anyone else, or that needs to be a thing for anyone to be successful in life. But when you grow up with without a father figure in your life, and all you have is a single mom, I think our pedigree is just different. You know,
Yes.
like we realize the sacrifice, and all parents make sacrifices. But when you have a single mom that has to make so many sacrifices with the absence of a partner there and whatever it is, and you see them hustle, and I think when I speak for all three of us, our moms did the best they could to give us an opportunity to succeed. And whatever we chose to do with that opportunity was ultimately on us. But none of us would be in that situation if it wasn't for being given an opportunity to succeed because of the sacrifices that our moms made. So
Amen.
that's and we can probably segue into that topic if you want. But
Yeah,
man.
yeah, bro. There's something powerful about single mothers. I mean, I know Teresa, your mother, very well. She's fucking awesome.
Also, real estate
investor
flipper.
too.
She's flipping in New York right
Real
now. She's
estate.
bought an auction.
Yeah, she texted me. Yeah, bro. She always likes all my stuff.
We're actually we're getting ready to file an eviction with the squatters in the property.
There you go.
Yep.
Yeah. The apple does not fall far from the tree.
Yep.
So, yeah, man, single moms, dude. First of all, my hat's off to you. Any single mom watching this, or anybody who comes from a single mom, always take care of that lady. I have a certain work ethic that wouldn't come if it wasn't for a single mom, and a certain appreciation. But you said the word opportunity and sacrifice, because that's very important. They did give us the opportunity, and it's ultimately, I've given, for example, Oscar the opportunity, and I've given every other guy the same opportunity. What did Oscar do with it, though, right? It's how far you want to run with it, right? I was given the same opportunities that all the other guys from my graduating class of 2017 starting in wholesaling. What did they do with it? What did I do with it? I can proudly say that I ran with the ball very, very. I'm still running with the bitch. I still have it in my arm. But it's ultimately what you want to do with it. No one owes you shit. I think that's a cold, hard truth of life, but nobody owes you shit. The bar wasn't going to pass you because oh man, I got a single mom, I'm a great guy.
Right.
Bullshit, get in line. There's a list of stories just like that, brother. You got to work, you got to train, you got to educate yourself, you got to take tests, you got to sacrifice, and you have to eat the sandwich. You just do. But if you do, that's it, bro. You're off to the races. So you come from a single mom. It's a great segue. Your mom's an incredible mom. I know her well. And you have a sister, Gina, who is also, awesome, very close, you guys, even though she drives an Audi, but nonetheless, she'll get a kick out of that one.
She will.
And you recently got a new car, but we'll get there.
Yeah.
So what's the biggest takeaway from being, raised by a single mother that you got?
It's hard, man. That's a great question. For once, I'm stumped. I can answer all these probate questions and partitions, and I'm just telling you, I got all these
Got
fact
you
patterns.
back.
I'm getting all these fact patterns, and I can give you an answer in 10 seconds, and you ask me a question like that, it's hard to say. So you said the biggest takeaway that I got?
Yeah.
I have no excuse to not be successful in my life, because when I look at what my mom did, she was a teacher. She taught at Northwestern, Booker T, Carroll City, some of the worst schools in Florida. God bless her. And at the time, she was spending money to send my sister and I to Catholic school.
Wow.
Because she didn't want us to go through what she saw in these public schools as a teacher. She worked every summer, did after-school tutoring, as much money as she could to afford the Catholic schools. And this was in the 90s, so there was no Wi-Fi, there's no cell phone and
You had to be
GPS,
there.
all the nice things that we have in today's society. So she did all this, never got a penny in child support, 2 kids. I wasn't a great, I was a little shit at times. And she somehow managed she would drive us from, I think we lived in Davie at the time, to Hollywood, dropped us off at one of her friends' houses that lived next to the school, that agreed to watch us, until it was time to go to school, because she had to leave so early, to drive down to Miami. We'd go to daycare, paid for daycare, would pick us up, and then had us doing baseball. I played baseball, kung fu. My sister did ballet, also played baseball. And then on top of that, she somehow managed to do all of this for the benefit of us. And she could have been very lazy and said, look, I'm picking them up from school, that's it. She sacrificed her entire life, her social life. She never dated, never would have had time to date if she wanted to with all the shit that she did for us. And I didn't realize this until I got older, and growing up, you're like, oh, why is my mom so strict? And she was just so tough on me. I wish I had more leeway. But as I get older and I've learned to reflect and see where I'm at in life, the biggest thing is I look at all the shit that she did, and I'm like, man, how can I let that go to waste? All that shit that she did. And whenever I have a hard day, right, hard day at work, I put things in perspective. I think I had an inconvenience. Oh, maybe I lost a motion. I lost a case. This client's upset. Someone's bitching. I have so much work to do, right?
Yeah.
I'm so busy. I have so many emails.
Yeah.
I'm so busy this week.
I don't have time.
I got to take the dog to the vet, right? I bring myself back and say, are these really difficult things that I'm dealing with in life? When I compare it to all the shit that my mom had to go through, on top of the emotional turmoil of getting divorced and my father was, I won't go into that, but not a good spouse and having to deal with all that. All her family's in New York, so there was really no family down here where she could drop us off at family's house or a Nana or Mima or anything like that. And when I think about all that, I'm like, man, I have no excuse in my life to not hustle and try to be the best version of myself when I really have it so easy. Like I have, again, what are my inconveniences? I'm too busy with work. I have people that are willing to pay me thousands of dollars, God forbid, to my own law firm that I'm so inconvenienced because I have so much money just sitting there on the table that people want me to do and represent them in a saturated market where there's thousands of attorneys in Florida. And I have people knocking on my door to send me business. And God, oh my God, I'm so inconvenienced, right? So I put things in perspective. Not that we all don't go through our own personal shit, but I looked at myself and I'm like, man, I have such a good life. I have great friends. I have great family. I have a roof over my head. I have all the basic things. Like, sure, of course, we all want nice things in life, but when I put things in perspective, I'm like, man, my mom really, like, I'll never be able to repay that debt ever in my life. The only way I think I can repay it to her is being as successful as I can, being a good human being, being a good friend, a good son, a good brother, ultimately a good husband and all that. But man, yeah, that's it, man. She's my motivation.
That's great, bro.
So I got no excuse, bro, to not hustle hard. And
he's holding it back right now. He's like,
yeah. It's tough.
I'm getting teary-eyed just watching it. I know exactly what you
I've
feel.
probably done 500 probates, and I deal with the emotional shit all the time, but I don't ever get emotional about that.
Yeah.
But, yeah, dude, that's you can't explain it, unless you've been in that situation.
I feel you.
And sure, if people have both parents in their life, of course, they still go through the same struggles and all that, but when I look back at myself, I'm like, man, I got a great fucking life. If I die tomorrow, hopefully not, dude, I die a happy man. Like, dude, I passed the bar. I accomplished all my goals. My mom was able to see me succeed. It's like, take all the materialistic shit out there. Like, dude, I'm happy in my life. Sure, would it be nice to get married and have kids and make $1 million and do all this bougie shit? Of course. All materialistic bullshit aside, dude, I'm happier than I've ever been in my life, more content. And every day I wake up, I'm like, how good do I have it? I get to work from home every day. I don't got to drive anywhere. I have a line of fucking people knocking on my door, to pay me money to have my services done. Great friends, great support, great family. Like, what more could I possibly ask for in life?
Yeah, and you're also recently sober, too. I mean, you just stopped drinking, which is dope.
North of 100 days. I think we're...
Congratulations,
106, something like that, but north of 100.
All right.
Yep.
That's a third of the year right there, bro.
Yeah, man. It's, it's
so
a
what
great,
brought that
great
on?
decision. What brought that on is, obviously, you and I have had many discussions. You were a great motivation for me because we used to party a lot. That's what I was talking about, Apollo.
All the time.
That's the face I saw, waking up hungover on your couch and the same clothes as the night before.
Many times.
And again, we partied, we had a good time, and I had certain vices because I don't do drugs, I don't do certain things. Alcohol was a vice to me, not to the point where I was ever driving drunk. I thought I was somewhat responsible, but there were definitely moments where I like to push the envelope a little bit. I like the physical sensation that it would give me, and I felt great on it. Sometimes it helps push certain emotions that you're feeling aside, and it's kind of temporary relief from those emotions, and it's not really a great long-term solution. It's kind of making it worse. But as I've gotten older and starting my own business and my own firm, I realized that drinking, it's just getting in the way of my success, in terms of my physical fitness, my mental health. Like, there's literally nothing good that comes from it. You spend a shit ton of money, you're up late, you're getting bad sleep, you're up till 2, 3 in the morning, you're ordering food. There's literally, it's a snowball
You're at
effect.
the BK Lounge all of a sudden.
100%. So it's a snowball effect of where nothing good comes from it. You end up sleeping in. I wanted to work out early. Now I can't. I'm hungover. I feel like shit. You get the anxiety, what they call it.
Anxiety.
Hangover, the anxiety.
It's a real thing.
You feel guilt of like, God, man, maybe I was texting that girl I didn't want to text. Or I said some risky. There's just nothing good that comes from it aside from the temporary physical, the sensation of feeling good. But I just realized, I'm like, man, this is holding me back. When I started my running journey, my fitness journey, my run club, all of that, I'm like, this is not contributing and helping my life. And all the bullshit all the stuff I just went on a soliloquy of saying of how important it is and how good my life is, alcohol is not helping me advance any of that. It's slowing me down and it's holding me back. And it held me back for a long time, and I didn't really realize it until I had a lot of conversations and really did a lot of self-reflection and realized, not everybody needs to be sober. That's not something you have to force on anyone. Some people are able to control it, have one drink, maybe they drink once a month, whatever it is. I just realized that was my go-to hobby. Something good happens, drink. I had a bad day, drink. I got nothing to do. I live at home by myself, drink. Yeah. Right? So it was just, I realized,
that's not good.
I depend on this a little too much. Again, and when I did, I would never get behind the wheel or anything like that, but I would justify that and rationalize to myself, well, I don't drink and drive, so it's okay. I'm just drinking at my house by myself. Oh, it's okay because I'm being safe. My bed's right there. I would come up with a million different excuses to justify it. And I realized, I'm like, you don't realize that, I don't want to say you're addicted to it, but once you actually go to stop, then it's like, damn, I didn't realize how much I depended on it.
That's when you know. Yeah. I mean, I'm over 2 years now, but that's when you know. And I was the valedictorian of the party class. That's for sure. A lot of fun. Imagine my personality drunk. That's all I can say.
It was some of the best years of my life in terms of fun. We have stories that we won't share on camera.
My head looked like this all the time, just like a flame ball. But I'll tell you, man, you will, when you made such a good point there, when you try to stop anything, and it doesn't have to be alcohol, it could be anything, bro. If you try to stop it, and let's like a positive habit, right, like running or exercise, right, but something that's a vice per se, and you just try stopping. Just try stopping. And you will know how much of a part of your life that thing is involved.
The people you hang out with,
the
things you do, it's a whole chain effect.
Yeah, man, it's people, place, and things, As you know, I did 90 for 90 when I was, sobering up the first time, and, well, actually the only time, but I did it on purpose. I was not an alcoholic per se. I was right there. I would say right there. It was certainly a crutch, but I did 90 for 90, which is, for those of you that don't know, that's 90 AA meetings in 90 days. So one a day. My first one, we won't even get into it. But anyway, I went to an all-gay Alcoholics Anonymous meeting in Fort Lauderdale, which was, look, and I love gay people. It was just a very awkward situation for me. But I felt like that was God's way of saying, like, you see? You fuck around. See? This funny shit happens. But, dude, I learned so much by going through that. And it gave me such perspective of like, damn, like I felt for those people because I was like, fuck, like my life is not bad. Like some of these people, because they openly share, and bro, you want to have perspective and be humbled immediately, go to one of those things and just listen. And I would listen to the stories, and I had done some stupid shit being drunk, but my God,
I remember the vacuum cleaner story you told
me. Oh my God, yeah. This guy threw a vacuum cleaner at his boyfriend in that meeting, like all this crazy shit. Got arrested for methamphetamine. I mean, woke up on a dit. Like, dude, it was bad, And bro, I mean, when your priority, I believe and I've told you this, when you were like looking to just stop drinking, I was like, bro, look, it's very simple. When your priorities shift, where something else becomes more important than the drinking or whatever that vice is, it'll be very easy for you to do. I think people make too big of a deal about this shit sometimes. That's just my humble opinion. There's no one right way to do this shit. Like, there's not a one-size-fits-all kind of thing. Everybody's in their own life journey and all that. I don't judge anybody for that shit. Just do whatever works for you, but understand you can rationalize it all you want. if it's not the fact that you have to talk about it, rationalize this and that, you probably should look into that.
It answers the question.
Yeah, like you should probably look into that. Is all I'm saying, right? And it's a very, very satisfying life to just, dude. It's funny because I love control, right, of my life, and being an entrepreneur, right? I write my own destiny. Like I would say all this shit and I would live all this shit, and meanwhile, I had no control over that side, and now I just love to get up and go. I get up at 5 a.m. Monday through Monday and be like, hey, I feel like working out today. Well, I'm not hungover. I'm not dragging ass.
One of the best feelings I've discovered. I'm not going to say it's the best feeling in life, but it's one of the best feelings I've recently experienced. My appreciation for waking up without a hangover is such a beautiful thing. Because as you get older, we're 33, 34. Yeah. Not that we're old, but when you're 21, you could get away with a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
You could go on an hour's sleep, whatever, go to work the next day. Once you get to the 30s, it's just not as easy. And that was another thing that contributed. The hangovers just got worse and worse and worse. And on my worst day, when I did decide to quit drinking, it was the worst hangover of my life. It was actually on Niatal's birthday. We had a long night and morning that day. And
I went home I literally looked at you.
I was toast.
And I saw you.
The night just begun at that point.
I know. And I looked at you. I was like, all right, brother. I was there for an hour and a half. I had some pizza. I looked at Savannah. I was like, babe, who's also sober. And I was like, babe, let's get the fuck out of here. Yeah. I loved everybody. Oh, no, let's get a picture. Yeah, picture. I was in bed by like 10:30. And then I got your text the next day.
I didn't get home till 7 in the morning that day.
Yeah,
well, I guess it would be the next day.
Yeah. You know what I was doing at 7 in the morning? I was already a workout in. I was like, oh, baby.
Yeah, man. But that morning when I woke up, and it was like at 11, there was a lot of bad shit that happened. But that feeling, I'll never forget that physical feeling that I had of the hangover, my ears being deaf from the loudspeakers of the place that I was at 6 in the morning. Just everything was just horrible. The taste of puke that had come out. For me puking before, like just everything you could think of was the worst. And so when I have had a temptation to drink or I think about it, I remind myself, think about all the bad. Think about that physical feeling. And when I wake up in the morning sober, I remind myself of how good does it feel just to wake up hungover or not hungover and feeling great. And I think I caught myself when I would think about being tempted to go back and drink. And this applies to relationships and certain things. Naturally, our mind tends to only go back and think about the good.
Yeah.
We're missing out on. You break up with someone. Oh, man, we had so many good moments, or we could have had good moments. Mm-hmm. But our mind tends to ignore all the bad shit that happened, all the bad relationships, alcohol. And so I always, when I did try to give up drinking before and I couldn't do it, all my mind was focused on, I'm not going to have any fun. I'm going to have all this extra free time. I'm going to miss that physical sensation of being tipsy, and I'm not going to have as much confidence and be as outgoing. All I could think about was that shit, and I had to rewire my thinking to think, I'm looking at it completely wrong. Look at all the bad shit that happened. I had to go to the hospital after my birthday on the boat. I didn't eat. It was just stupid shit. The amount of money I spent, the risks, the stupid decisions I made, how much it fucks with my diet, my sleep, my training.
Well, you look like a fool too, bro. Trust me, I've been the valedictorian of that class too. You look like a fool. Like some of the shit that you do, you're just like, really?
Yeah.
Like I'm the attorney that everybody relies on, and I'm
and that's part of it. I'm starting my own firm. We just talked about all the success that we've had, and it's just like, man, I have to pick what kind of person I really want to be. I can't continue to be successful and make my mom proud and run my own law firm and continue to push and be more successful when I'm making an ass of myself, completely gone, saying, being just stupid. So I rewired my thinking to just solely focus on the negative shit.
You know what's interesting too is, at least for me, I've been at this for like 2 years and 3 months now. People look at me, like whenever I'm in a room or a high-level room or whatever it is, networking or meeting somebody for the first time, it's usually in a business setting of some sort. People look at me and they, success leaves clues is what I always like to say. I go, I'm very disciplined, everybody's at the bar. And look, I'm not judging anybody, bro. Like, I was the king of the bar. You could not beat me. Like, trust me. But
I know.
Yeah. Like,
it's there.
I have more Blanton's little horses than anybody I know. So, anyway, the point is that people see me, I go to the room, at a decent time, boom, I'm up at the gym the next morning, 5:30, 6 a.m., whatever it is, if I'm traveling or something. I still hit the routine, right? And then I'm having breakfast. If Savannah's with me, she's usually following the same routine. If there's a sauna or a cold plunge, which I always like to stay at hotels that have them, I try to keep my routine because I just love it. I can do well without it. I'll fucking get up and just go for a 5-6 mile run, no problem, right? And like anywhere, or just do push-ups in the room. But the point is, when people look at you, they look at you from a position of authority or a serious, like, whoa, this guy doesn't drink. Like, he just drinks water and he fucking goes upstairs. He does his thing and his diet is this and da-da-da. And look at the way that he fucking looks. And we're talking about vanity a little bit, but it's first impressions.
It's what the kids call aura.
Now. Yeah, it's aura now. Yeah, it's the vibe. It's the aura. Like, dude, I walk into a room and you put me up on stage to speak, which is the journey, the part of the journey in my life that I'm at. Brother, you don't have to look at me twice before you're like, I'll probably want to do business with that guy because look how fucking serious he takes himself.
Yep.
Look at his body. He's jacked. He speaks well. His habits say everything he needs to say, right? That guy's fucking dialed in. Because when I meet another guy like that, I'm like, that motherfucker is dialed in.
Chances are, if you're in great shape, you look good, you feel good, everything we said, that means you obviously have discipline with yourself. If you have discipline with yourself, that means you probably have discipline with your hobbies, with your business, with your relationships and everything else. And this is also something I looked at and why I really got into the fitness and the running and really turning that up a lot more. How can someone
Which I love, by the way. And congrats on Cooper City Run Club.
Thank you.
Shout out to Cooper City Run Club. You started that, correct?
I did, with my buddy Ethan.
That's badass,
yeah,
dude.
Man. And so one of the things I looked at in terms of being a successful, entrepreneur, being a business owner, being a legitimate attorney that everyone's going to. And
you can say you're an entrepreneur now, man.
I can.
Look at you go.
I can. But this also goes into the alcohol and really just eating better, and really running and getting into better shape. I don't want to be mean here, but I'm going to be a little mean, but it's true.
Be honest.
And this is when it comes to sales, right? You see a person that weighs 300 pounds.
Yeah.
They're trying to sell you on some shit, or, I promise you this, I promise you that. How are you going to trust that person and what they're trying to sell you, what they're saying, when they don't even have enough discipline to maintain themselves? If you can't be accountable for yourself with the food that you put in your body, and I'm not saying you have to have a six-pack or be David Goggins or run 500 miles or be at your heart rate. I'm just saying it's hard to trust someone from a credibility perspective when it comes to business and sales when they're in really, really poor shape. Because if you don't have the discipline for yourself, you sure as shit don't have the discipline for your business. Maybe there's an outlier out there that's a dude that weighs 500 pounds and a successful businessman. Sure.
But he ain't happy.
But the majority
guarantee you that.
The majority of people that are very successful when it comes to business are locked in and have that aura is because they hold themselves accountable first and foremost, and everything else follows suit.
100%.
If you're accountable with yourself, your fitness, your mental health, which is just as important to take care of as your physical, that usually rolls over into your business, your hobbies, your relationships, your friendships, your boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever. Everything follows that. And I saw that a lot with you, and I'm like, I noticed that. And even that night when I saw you at Talls, despite my impaired ability, I could see the aura, around you. Like, in Dragon Ball Z, the Super Saiyan, the little shh around. Yeah. I'm not trying to butter you up.
You had the energy reader, like, oh my God, he's at a 15,000.
I could see. I'm like, you look so dialed in.
Thanks, man.
Locked the fuck in. Where it's like, I know you have a time where you're like, hey, I'm going to come here. I'm going to leave at this time.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be eating shit when I'm here. I'm not going to get stuck into drinking out the bottle and, just being bougie and all that. Not that there's anything wrong with that. But I could see how dialed in, locked in you were. I'm like, man, I would love to get to that one day. And I think it's an extreme.
You're well on your way.
It's an extreme for everybody to get to that. But what I've noticed on my journey is that all the extra free time, everything else, my mind is clear. I've never seen life through a more clear vision than now. Like, I'm dialed. I got the hallway vision with the light at the end of the tunnel. My confidence has never been higher. My anxiety, my panic attacks I've had have never been lower. I'm in more control of that than I've ever been in my entire life. Not that I'm perfect. We all still have emotions, but I've never been more clear mentally and physically where I'm at now. My confidence, my aura, everything. I am so locked in because
I can see it.
Because I'm actually staying true to a promise I've made to myself
for
the first time in a long time. Because a lot of times I'd make promises to myself, whether it was fitness, running, this and that, and I never just held myself accountable. Procrastination, whatever the fuck it was. But now it's like I've finally proven to myself that, man, if I can not drink and stay sober and really have a control on my mental health, my physical health, and everything else, everything else is going to be cake, and everything else just starts to flow so much easier. And I'm starting to see that. And again, I'm 33 now, but I am the happiest. And this goes back to my poor analogy I used before. If I were to die tomorrow, which I hope doesn't happen, dude, if I were to write a will right now, I would say, whoever's reading it, to my family and my friends, don't be sad. Like, yes, it sucks I couldn't be here a little longer and use my bad jokes and work on more of your probates and everything else. But if I died tomorrow, dude, I would die a happy man. Like,
well, let's hope
dude, I lived a great fucking life. I'm happy. There's nothing else I would change in my life, like where I'm at. And obviously, I want to continue this mindset where it's like it's just at a time. And I'm going on a soliloquy here, so let me make it cool. So, Peaky Blinders, you read my all-time favorite show. Tommy Shelby, my all-time favorite character. He gave a great line, which really resonated with me a lot. They were in the show. They were in World War I together, and it was Tommy, his brother Arthur, John, and Jeremiah, the preacher guy. They were in a bunker, and pretty much, I guess, they were like the last guys on the line. They got their whole squadron, or whatever, got slaughtered that day, and they see the enemy tanks basically coming across the field, and they looked at each other, basically accepting death. They basically said, in the bleak midwinter, and they read the poem, and there's some reasoning behind that, and they basically accepted death. Like they basically said, "Fuck it, boys! Like, we're done. Light up the cigarette. Tank's gonna come, blow us away. Like, we lived a great life. We're going out together, and so be it." For reasons unknown, the tank never came, and they ended up surviving. And then obviously they made it past the war. And so Tommy Shelby would essentially say that every day that he lived or continues to live past that point is all added time. And that he doesn't take it for granted, because he says, "I should have been dead." So I don't take any day for granted. I'm always going to be happy no matter what. And that's when every time he thinks he's going to die in the show, they say, "In the bleak midwinter." That's the poem they read together when they were in the bunker. And that's a good approach. I'm not saying I've experienced a near-death experience, but I was at a very low point, in my past. And now that I've finally gotten past that low point, I try to use that analogy as if I was in the bunker, right? Like, man, I pretty much accepted defeat. I was on autopilot for a long time. I wasn't happy in life. I didn't know who I was identity-wise, in terms of what I wanted in life and things like that. Insufferable, uncontrollable panic attacks, anxiety, depression, all that shit controlled me for 10 plus years, and I had no happiness in life. And if it was just temporary shit. It wasn't true happiness, and not where I'm at now. So I've been able to get past that, and I continue to think back about that scene every day that I live. Man, I'm happy. And this is my new theme of kind of where I'm going at in life. So I think you had a similar moment too. I won't go into details because I don't know if you want to share that.
Yeah, I crashed my truck into a ditch on the side of I-95.
Yeah.
There's no details to go into it.
And you should have been dead.
I should have been dead. And Savannah was with me, and thank the big guy upstairs that didn't happen. And you came that night and picked us up, and that was yeah, that was
in the bleak midwinter moment. You're in the bunker.
It was.
And you should have been dead then.
And I had a lot of other moments in that period of my life, which were very similar, that I don't recommend for anybody. Don't be a dipshit. I was definitely a dipshit at that time, which is why I use the term dipshit so much. Like, don't be a dipshit. Like, I've been the king of the dipshits, as Mark likes to say, the king dingaling of the dipshits. It's not a good club to be a club member at. But yeah, it is a gift. It
was Super Bowl night. I remember.
Yeah.
It was a Super Bowl, so there was a ton of traffic. I get a call from you. Are you okay with me sharing this?
Sure.
I won't say everything, but I'll just summarize it. I get a call from you. I knew you were drunk, and this is when you were going down a really bad path. And I think me and some other people, we even had conversations before that night, telling you that your drinking was really getting out of control.
Yeah. And
it was not an easy conversation to have, from friend to friend, client, attorney. And you don't want to have like a mini intervention. It's not something you want to do. But me and some others, I remember we got on a joint call one day with you and kind of ambushed you and kind of pushed it down your throat. It was Tall was there. I didn't want to say, but Tall was on the call.
No.
And we
great friends.
Man, you were going straight down. Mm-hmm. And on my conscience, where you were going to be dead, and you weren't. I didn't even know that you were going to make it past living another year. And as at the time, we were very, much more close. We had a little different shit going on. I consider you my best friend, and I was like, man, if he dies, I'm not going to have this shit on my conscience where I didn't step in and make a genuine effort to stop it or to tell you to fucking stop. And if I tell you my peace and you choose to ignore it and you do your own thing and something bad happens, of course it's going to be sad, but I'm not going to have that guilt on my conscience that as your best friend, I didn't bring it up to you or do my best to try to get you out of that situation. And that was the last straw when you basically crashed your truck into the ditch and some other things. And I remember picking you up on the side of the road, and Savannah was there, and dude, it was bad. It was in the fucking the little lake ditch thing off the side. It was all the way in. There was a
state trooper pulled up too.
State trooper that pulled up that could have easily probably hit you with some charges, and she chose not to.
She said, I thought it was a fatality when I pulled up, and she should have known I was
You were
way.
bad. You were bad. You were, it's my attorney, and you can.
Oh, it's super bad.
The alcohol reeked from you.
No, but she really, she was off duty, I think, and she was like going home or whatever.
She wanted nothing to do with it, and I was there, and
older black lady too. Like she had the hat on and everything. She was no joke.
Night, so it was busy. There's other.
Oh yeah, she knew. She had everything she needed.
Nonetheless, on any other day, you would have been dead. You and Savannah probably would have both been dead. If you weren't dead, and there was any other officer there, you would have gone to jail for a good amount of time. I don't know that you would have been able to plea out of that. You would have had some jail time. Would have ruined your career,
life altering,
and could have affected your now fiance and your future wife. Could have probably ended the relationship, and God knows where you'd be there. The pain that you'd have to put your mom and Mima and the rest of your family through of them seeing that shit. There's just a lot of bad things that could have happened, but they didn't. And I think that was a sign. Whether it's God, the universe, as you like to say, whatever it is. Thing. That was the last person saying, "I'm going to throw you a fucking bone.
Yeah.
Don't you dare fuck it up." And I drove you home that night, and you were still drunk and everything else. I remember, I forget who I was with at the time, but I was talking to her. I said, he just doesn't get it. He doesn't fucking listen. I had this long talk with you, Tall, and I talked to you a bunch of times. I was like, man, you really got to stop. And you just were going in the worst fucking direction. And I had zero confidence. I say this. I remember it as clear as I had zero confidence that you were going to turn it around. I did not believe in you at all. I had seen nothing.
I love to disappoint.
I had seen nothing to the contrary that would show me you would make this change. I never in a fucking million years would have thought that where you are now, that you would have ever got there. And I am so glad that I was wrong about that. I've never been more glad, as an attorney, I never say this, I've never been more glad to be wrong about something in my life and seeing where you are today. And that's what I always wanted for you, but I didn't believe you could ever do that. I didn't think you had it in you. And so when you were able to finally make that decision, and you went through a little, I'm quitting, I'm not quitting, whatever.
There's a couple more months, yeah.
You had a little on and off, and I
quit May of that year.
Yeah, and I thought at that point, I'm like, this guy's a pathological liar. He's avoiding it. He's never going to quit. And then something fucking clicked for you. I don't know what it was. You did some thinking or whatever it is. I'll defer to you on that. Something finally clicked.
I just got tired of being fucking sick and tired, dude. I woke up one day after Formula One. That was Super Bowl. Formula One was in May. And so it was 3 months after. And I woke up one day and I wasted an entire Monday because that was Formula One was on a Sunday. And I knew what I needed to do. I was going through the business divorce, well, 2 of them for fun. And I was going through a lot of shit. It was no excuse, but I was going through a lot of shit. I was rebuilding myself. I lost basically my entire team, my entire business that I built for 5 years. That's why I always tell people, if you see me be a hard ass today, or if you see the way that I drive at life today, that person's always been inside of me. It's just I don't want to fuck around and waste any more time today. Because I have had
enough of that.
I had the like literally putting an F-150 Raptor into the side of a canal.
And you owned the truck for like a month.
Yeah, like literally the truck snapped in half. Thankfully, I was in a Raptor because great trucks, by the way, Ford. Awesome job. No airbag deployment. Nonetheless, it was fucking literally in a canal, waist deep. I fucking ejected the door out. Went to go grab Savannah. I mean, the whole fucking night. It was. I had nightmares of that night for like months after. That ended very badly in the nightmare. Anyway, and so I got sick and tired of it, and I just woke up, and you know how I am, bro. Once I make a decision,
that was that.
I make a decision, and I quit cold turkey right after Formula One, and dude, I disappeared for like 120 days. I didn't go out to any dinner or anything like that. I told all you guys, I was like, look, I appreciate you guys. Mm-hmm. You know I love you. I love you from afar right now, but I got to get back in the lab and rebuild this dude that they call Willie, and what's going to come out is going to be a scary motherfucker. And
that it did, man.
Man, that it did.
I've never been more proud of anything in my life than seeing you turn that shit around. Because, again, I didn't see it coming, man.
I appreciate it.
So I'm so happy I was wrong on that.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. No, and I appreciate you being there and all my friends that were there for me too. You know, a lot of people, it's funny about life.
And no one sees this shit, by the way, with reverse flip and all that. They just see the new and improved Willie.
Yeah, no, they don't see
know
the journey.
This other side. So a lot of people talk shit. Oh, he's such an arrogant fuck. He's this. He's that. He's so loud and proud.
Yeah,
but,
sure.
You know what I tell people? I'm like, what you see online is what you get in person. If he doesn't like something, he's going to tell you right to your face and not give a fuck what you think.
Yeah.
He marches to the beat of his own drum. He doesn't give a shit. All that, the aura, the charisma, it's accurate. You know, there's no bullshit. It's all the shit you see online. It's accurate.
There's no personality.
And I said, but he's earned it. You know, he's earned the right to be that way.
Thanks.
And if you don't like it, he doesn't give a shit. He doesn't care. He's busy making money. But I'm like, if you knew his journey and you saw where he came from, you know, single mom, everything else, getting fired at Merrill Lynch, you know, being a bum, always going to Burger King Lounge, you know, driving drunk up and down Los Olas every fucking day, not even being able to go to lunch, a business lunch during the day without pounding 5 or 6 whiskeys and being trapped. If they saw your journey, you know, in real time and saw what you came from, they would appreciate and understand, you know, where you're at now. So obviously that's not shit you just tell everyone, hey, by the way, I did all this shit in my past.
I was a degenerate piece of shit.
Right. But I think it's nice that if someone's watching this, they can see, man, okay, you know, Will was a regular human being like us. Because a lot of people, when they try to strive to be like you or anyone else, all they see is the good, and they think, oh, man, he must have always had it good. It must have been easy.
No.
A lot of people got to realize, man, when you see a lot of successful people in life, there usually is some type of origin story, like a superhero movie.
There has
to be some type of tragedy or whatever it is.
There's always, I've had the blessing of being around really ultra successful people in my career now, and the levels just keep going up, right? From a Mark Evans to a Bobby Castro to a Tony Robbins to being around certain rooms and having access to people like that and being mentored by some of these people. You know, and now having my shot at mentoring, you know, for 3 years now, a lot of people. I don't take it lightly, but look, I'm not a superhuman. I never have been. I think I'm a superhuman now, only because, and again, it's just what I tell myself, only because of the amount of discipline. But I also am eternally humble to the fact of where it can go if you let it and if you fuck around, right? Which is why a person like me, I got tired of fighting against the grain of like, why am I the way that I am? Like, why can't I change? Dude, you are the way that you are. That's how God made you. It's beautiful. God made me to be a mixture between a Belgian Malinois and a fucking, I don't know, a Doberman mixed in with, I don't know, some
pit bull in there,
some other kind of pit bull and some crazy shit, you know, with a big heart. But that means I have to stay very busy and in a good way, and I have a lot of energy. Like, I cannot be held.
Oh, now Savannah does it. God
yeah. Man, I came back today from an 8-mile run, and she's outside having her coffee, and I was like, zoom, into the cold plunge, butt naked. She's like, hey, babe. I'm like, what's up, babe? Hey, I'm going to the podcast. Like, I'm just moving. But, again, play to your strengths. I always had all those strengths, but I was playing in the wrong sandbox.
Right.
I was trying to impress other people and, you know, going out and partying and that's fun. And I'm not, like, judging anybody for that. Do whatever it is you need to do. Go for it. Trust me. Been there, done that. Got the T-shirt. I don't need it. However, start to hone in on where to deploy those strengths. Now you see all this shit, it's because I figured out, okay, how do I remanufacture my life, which you could do at any time, by the way, like that. I know it sounds a lot easier said than done, but I'm speaking from experience. Find a way to remanufacture your life, wherever it is that you want to get going. What's the end point? If there should never be an end point, but fine, for the sake of argument. Where are you at right now? Doesn't matter how shit or low or in a ditch in an F-150 Raptor. And how are you going to use your strengths to get you there? That's all I've done. It is no wonder that in under a year, everything that's happened. I've attracted great people, my team that I'm eternally grateful for. Savannah, guys like you, my family, my mom, right, my grandmother, all that kind of stuff. Dude, I have just redesigned all those addictive, obsessive habits into what I love and into the best version of me. It's why I signed up for a 100-mile race. You know, you're in part an inspiration to that, right? Running your marathon and all that kind of stuff, and running in general. I've never been a good runner. I fucking suck at running. I'm 214 pounds. Pretty damn good now. But again, it's why I did it. And the real reason why I signed up for the race, and very few people know this, is I told Savannah that I'd always wanted to do one for like 4 years when I met Brady and all these guys in the masterminds that have done them. But the real reason I signed up for it is I've been through a lot of shit in the 8+ year period since I started FRIA, right? Most recently, the last 2.5 year fucking debacle of this legal case of this loser who decided to sue me. With that said, I wanted a challenge, and I wanted a big Willie-style challenge. And
Is it safe to say you wanted to sign up for something that scares you?
Yes.
It should scare you, but in a good way.
It scares the shit out of me. However, I wanted something. It had been a very long time since I could remember something that I set out to do where I genuinely knew, damn, there's a high chance that I might quit. Mm-hmm. So for a guy like me to say that, which I'm not a quitter at anything, I was like, ooh, this is turning me on. And I wanted to compartmentalize. How do I take all the mindset, right? Because I pride myself on having a bulletproof mindset. How do I take the 80 years of shit and experience and adversity? What's the hardest thing? Well, I'm not going to go sign up and be a Navy SEAL right now. I'm just not going to do it. I'm too old, like right now. Right. But the point is, how do I compartmentalize that into like a day or a sitting?
You found the right thing.
Well, a 100-mile race inside of a 31-hour time cap will do that for you through the night and through the day. Right. And that was it. And
Where's
I signed
the
up.
race at?
It's in Jacksonville Beach to Daytona.
Okay.
It's December 13th and the 14th.
That's a good time to run.
You are more than invited to be there. I would love for you to be there.
I'll probably help crew you.
I have Cole Taylor.
I'll run something with you.
Yeah.
I'll run at least a marathon with you.
Yeah.
I'll give you 30 or 40, and I'll let you do the rest of 60.
That's fine.
Someone else can have to run. You get Brady or someone else, but
no,
I'll give you 30.
I have Cole Taylor. Brady's coming out there to be part of the crew chief. Cody Alford is going to be the crew chief.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so it's going to be awesome.
Can't lose with him.
Yeah, prior Marshall guy, I was like, listen, dude, your only job is to make sure that you put duct tape on me. I don't give a fuck what you do, but just send me back out there, okay? Because I'm not quitting. Savannah's going to be there as well. But, yeah, I'm excited for it. And I know, bro, once I finish, because I'm not going to not finish. There's no question on that.
That's the right mentality.
That's a double negative. But I already won that race 2 months ago when I started training.
There you go.
And it's like anything in my life that I've done. But once I finish that race, then it'll be something else. And it'll be a 150-miler or it'll be, I don't know, skydiving onto a fucking Ironman or some shit. I don't know what the fuck it is, but we'll make one up. But I urge anybody that just watched this segment, which has nothing to do with real estate or business, but this is the real shit that happens behind the scenes of a highly successful, functioning individual. Might not be that extreme. It might not be that. I don't know. Everybody's got some shit, and don't let them tell you that they don't. And because they do tell you that it's been a squeaky clean, run away. This is bullshit. I haven't met one guy or girl that has had a squeaky clean uphill, boom, climb, cruising altitude. Bullshit. I will call bullshit on that every single time. It's like an investor telling me, I've never lost money on a deal. I'm like, well, you've done two then, because I don't know what the fuck.
And you've closed every deal you've ever had under contract.
Yep. And yeah, exactly. Yeah, right. Dude, shit happens, bro. Shit will happen. And that's what I think that's a big problem with today's society, especially young men, which is why I love mentoring them. It's not just real estate. They think they're getting real estate, but once they get in here, they're like, oh shit, this is a lot more. But I think as they come in, they know, like, I'm really gravitating towards this dude because I want to borrow his confidence. I want to borrow that energy that he had, the aura, like you said, that he has, because clearly he's figured something out. And again, I don't have it all figured out, but that's really what they're getting. I want to help young men just stop doubting themselves. There's so much of that shit going on, and society has done a phenomenal job at pussifying this fucking country. I don't even know if that's a term.
Eliminated. It's completely eliminated in today's society.
Testosterone levels have never been so low. All of you guys, as far as I'm concerned, need to get on TRT. But I'm dead serious. Like, dude, it's a problem. It's a problem, and that's why I like to surround myself with people that... I love dogs, bro. I love dogs. I'm a fucking dog. I love to be a dog, bro. I don't give a shit. I love to be around dogs, bro. Like, get fucking dirty.
When you're in the foxhole, who do you
Yeah,
next
bro.
to?
Exactly, dude. Like, just get dirty, get nasty, fucking find a new version of yourself, break a fucking limb. I don't care what it is that you do. Maybe you need that shit in your life. But there's too much softness going on, and I'm not the hardest guy ever invented. Right. But certainly if David Goggins was to show up at that race, let's say, I'd give him a run for his money. That's the mentality that I'm going into it with, and that's the mentality that I go into everything with. Now, David Goggins will more than likely whoop my ass because he's got a lot more experience, but he'll be watching me the entire fucking time too, you know? And respect is earned that way, you know? And I feel like too many young guys in business, especially in South Florida, they want something for nothing, and they just want to show up and get their fucking little participation trophy, and it's not how the real world works, bro.
I think they fear failure. They fear failure, and then they don't know how to handle adversity. When adversity hits, oh, poor me, this is so sad.
It's real estate's fault.
Yeah, and I think whether it's real estate or business or personal life, how you deal with adversity when shit hits the fan, that's very telling. And that's where people have to do a better job. And I was guilty of this a long time. Something bad happened. I'm not crying myself to sleep, but I'm all down. It ruins my entire day. Instead of having next down mentality. Okay, something bad happens, whatever it is. What can I do to move on? How can I fix it? How can I continue to do whatever it is I need to do? And going into things expecting success is a great thing. That's not being arrogant. It's being confident. But if you go into things expecting to fail or fearing failure too much, you should have a healthy respect of a fear of failure. There's nothing wrong with that. You can respect it. But that shouldn't control your mindset. You should go into it with, I'm going to finish the race, and actually saying it and being affirmative about it. Not saying, hey, guys, I signed up for a 100-miler. I don't know. I might finish it. I might not. I might make it to mile 50.
Get the fuck out of here, bro.
When you start saying shit like that,
you already lost.
It's going to start.
You already lost. I told Savannah going into this race, and I shit you not, I told her she was genuinely concerned, as a good spouse should be.
Yeah, 100 miles is a lot.
Yeah.
Especially since you just started running.
Right. But I'm me, and I can do it, you know, in my mind. That's just like an example. I'm not trying to be arrogant. I'm just being honest. But, like, I told her, she's like, babe, this is a lot. Like, I want you to, you know, just be careful. But she's also mindful because she knows me, and she knows she can't baby me like that. And she's like, but I also know you're a psychopath, and that you will be, you know, I know you make it. But I told her, I was like, babe, this is very simple. There's two ways for the end result of this race. I die or get hauled off in a fucking ambulance because I passed out and I couldn't physically continue to run.
Right.
And it was out of my control because my body just literally just shut down on me. Or option B, I don't care if I have to run through the fucking finish line on my knees crawling with duct tape. But I will duct tape the plane on the way down. But I'm going to hit that mark. There's no other option that's ever even crossed into my matrix of it. And that, my friends, is called intention. That is the same intention that I got into real estate with in 2017. I said, I'm going to be the best fucking wholesaler in South Florida. I didn't say a date. I just said, I'm going to be the best. And I think I earned that title, you know, before I got out. And that's exactly what happened. But I don't care, you know, like, that's fine. Every guy that drops out of that race, in a race, the race is now metaphorical. The race is like life, you know. Life is a race. It really is. Because how many guys did you start law school with? And how many guys actually went to the bar? And how many guys actually passed the bar? And how many guys are fucking dipshit attorneys today?
How many of them were actually successful that came out of law school is a better question. But
exactly.
Yeah, but the analogy is correct.
And where are they at now? If it was like life, and then you just got to actually imagine if life was like a game where everybody had like a gamer tag or a tracker, and it was just like drop, and you just saw it, like you're like, oh shit. I'm kind of like, oh shit. And then there's like 3 out of 300 that just, because that's really what life boils down to, man. It might be 2 or 3 out of 300, 400. Right? It's less than 1% to get to certain levels of things, or to get to a level of like where I've gotten to, or even in your attorney field to get to where you've gotten to and where you're going, because we're both very young. Dude, that's what I live for. I'm like, please quit for the love of God. And I tell some of the young guys that when they come in to, you know, around me or whatever, I just don't want to waste time. So I don't want to waste their time. And I told Oscar the same shit. I said, I know you, because they all come up to me the same way. They're like, bro, you understand? I'm going to be the fucking best. And I'm never going to fucking, I'll do anything. And I look at them the same way. I'm like, be careful what the fuck you tell a guy like me. Because I'm going to take you at face value. And when you say you're going to do anything, look at my face. It lights up. I get excited. But don't fucking call me or don't quit on me, right? So at this point, you know, Oscar was one out of very few that actually did exactly what he said he was going to do.
What he says he's going to do, he does.
He does. And that's why I respect the shit out of him, because I've had to do the same. And you've had to do the same. Right. So when I run into certain guys at my masterminds that I'm in, I can see a guy from across a room and never have an exchange of words with him. And I can just tell that man right there is a weathered man. I don't know what the fuck his story is. I don't even want to know. But I could just tell.
He's got the aura.
There's something there, and he's got some scars on him. I don't know what it is, but that motherfucker's been through some shit. And the same way I could look at another guy and be like, that is not the same look. That is not the same look. And I'm sure people, you know, he pulled up a picture of me the other day. It was like from 2020.
See that picture I sent you yesterday?
Yeah. But this was a picture from 2022, actually, when I recorded the wholesale course. Okay. And it's me, like, you know, and I look like a baby, you know, in comparison. Now you look at me now, and it's like, goddamn, this dude looks like he got ejected out of a cannon in the best way. But you could just see on my face, it's like, dude, I've seen some long nights, you know. Wrapping up with this, because this has been fucking terrific. For the young Gio, from an attorney's perspective, right? From your perspective, your life perspective. We always ask, it's usually young men that are watching this, so keep that in mind. What is one piece of advice that you would give to anybody watching this who's either looking to get into business or looking to be an attorney, right? Like that next big thing, or is in it right now and is taking shit sandwiches left and right. And it's not looking good, right, in the grand scheme of things. What's one piece of advice you would give to that person?
Obviously, don't quit. So when I started, when I was a paralegal, I was making $10 an hour. This is 2014, living in my mom's house in Pembroke Pines. And the firm I worked at is actually right around the corner here in Boca. So that's at least an hour commute. I drove a piece of shit 2001 Toyota Solara that had 250,000 miles that was rebuilt after an old lady totaled it. I got that for like $3,000. And so every morning I would leave the house, and I'm prefacing this story so people can understand. I would leave the house, my mom's house, every day at 6:30 in the morning, actually 6:15. I'd get to the train station at like 6:40, and the train would pick me up at 6:50, the tri-rail if it was on time. It was never on time. Mind you, I'm in a shirt, a tie, fancy pants tucked in, my shoes, my work socks, which were always sweaty because of how long I was in them. I'd take the train up to Boca because I just couldn't do the commute. It was too much stress. And then my car was just a piece of shit, so I couldn't afford to go from Pembroke Pines to Boca every day. I'd take the train. The train would drop me off if it was on time. I'd have to wait another 15 minutes to catch a shuttle if it was on time. Shuttle comes, picks me up, another 10-minute drive, drops me across the street. Then I'd have to walk 10, 15 minutes from the drop-off to the actual office, go there, start my day around 7:30, 7:45, leave the office around 5:15, 5:20, wait for the train to pick me up at 6 or whatever it was. It was never fucking on time. And if I was lucky, get back to the train station Hollywood, drive back home, and maybe I got home at 7:30 if it was a good day. And this was all while making $10 an hour, no benefits, dressing in the shirt and tie, doing the whole corporate shit. Obviously, I learned a lot. But there were moments where I'm like, man, what the fuck am I doing with my life? Like, where am I going to be? I've always known to be I knew I was smart. I had some type of gift. But in that moment, I'm like, I'm living in my mom's house. I'm making $10 an hour. I have to deal with this shitty commute, the train, the this and that. And there'd be suicides and shit with the train and fucking breakdown. All this bullshit. I didn't know if I wanted to go to law school or not. And I'm just like, what am I doing with my life? Like, am I going to be just a regular piece of shit that just does this for 9 to 5 for the rest of my life and just lives a very basic-ass life? Or do I really want something better? Do I want something more for my life? And then reflecting on my mom's sacrifice that I touched on in this podcast. And I told myself that's when I knew I couldn't just stop and settle. And I went from $10 an hour to $12 an hour to $14 an hour, and then eventually to $15.50. So maybe I was making like $35K a year or some shit. And they loved me. Like, oh, yeah, we'd love for you to work here. We have a long-term vision for you. And at the time, I didn't know if I wanted to be an attorney or not. I saw a lot of attorneys that were working at that firm. And I said to myself, man, if so-and-so can do it and that person can do it, there's no fucking excuse. I know I could be a better attorney than this person. Like, if they did it, I can do it. And then I decided to study for the LSAT. I had to function taking a prep course twice a week, all while taking the train in Plantation. That was a 3-hour course I would take twice a night. Barely had enough money to fucking pay for that course. So I was studying for the LSAT while working full-time, while living at home with my mom. Took the LSAT, fucking failed it like 2 times. Couldn't even get a decent score to even submit an application to law school. Again, at that point, I'm feeling down. Is this the right thing for me? Eventually, I got a decent score. I applied to law school, rolled the dice, and said, I just want something better for myself. I don't know if I'm going to be an attorney. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm going to fucking die trying to succeed. And I always continue to just try with the mentality of, if I fail, fuck it. You can't. It's not going to be because I didn't try. Maybe it's things outside of my control, but I am not going to settle being a mediocre person and living a mediocre life. My mom did way too much shit for me to just be an average bum, and I'm not going to live my life like that. And obviously, I wasn't happy living an average life. Obviously, fast forward, I passed the bar. I didn't think I was going to fucking pass the bar. Started out working as an attorney and all that. Fast forward, I always try to think of myself when I have a long day and I'm stressed and I have such a difficult day. I think back to Gio making $10 an hour, 2014, and just thinking, man, if I could go back and talk to that Gio and say, don't stop. And I'm just going to give you a peek of what your future is going to look like in the next 10 years if you just continue to do what you're doing and winning those small wins. And again, it doesn't mean you have to be an attorney or you have to make $1 million. Whatever goal or whatever path you're on, don't stop trying to take steps forward and to benefit yourself, whatever that is. The second prong to that, after I passed the bar, I let myself go because all I did was work. I worked too much. This is when I was responding to your emails and texts in 20 seconds, but I was like that with everybody. And I was a poor kid, single mom. I'm finally seeing a little money for the first time in my life. I'm like, oh, this is great. I assumed making a lot of money would make me happy. And it did temporarily because I'm like, oh, this is great. I can get a V6 Challenger instead of this piece of shit Toyota Solara that I've had. I can go to a fancy dinner at Del Frisco's with you, right? It's $100 bar tab. And I thought that the money would make me happy. And what I learned is I completely forgot about myself. I stopped going to the gym. I didn't really spend a lot of time with friends. If I did, I was just going out drunk, like just being a dipshit, as you said. And I really neglected my physical health, my mental health. Wasn't really spending time with my family. Wasn't really spending time with my friends. I just put myself in the back seat, and I put everybody in front of me, clients, everyone else, and I just felt like this rug just getting run over. And I really neglected myself really badly. And during that time, that's when I put on a shit ton of weight. You saw my fat picture. I was up to 240 pounds. Maybe I don't want Antonio to put that on the screen. I might not fit on the screen in my fat picture.
He's a big boy.
I let myself go. I was drinking all the time, smoking cigars, eating like shit. I'd get home from the office at 9 or 10 o'clock and just eat a fucking takeout every day for lunch, whatever. I just let myself go. And that's what really helped. That's not what helped. That's what really started the anxiety, the panic attacks, the depression, the lack of self-confidence, all the other shit that came with it. And I didn't realize how deep of a place I was. And it was extremely, extremely hard to get out of that place. So the conclusion of my story of everything I just said, I've never been happier in my life. I finally have a clear vision. I'm in the best shape I've ever been in my life, aside from maybe high school, when you're young and you're just naturally a kid. Mentally, I'm clear. Physically, I'm great. I'm happy. I'm never done better in my life than as of today, right now. It took a long time to pull myself out of how down I let myself go. So I would encourage people to not let yourself go in that sense, and you can do so by, yes, it's great to work a lot of hours. It's great to be a dog, like we just said, but it's important to establish time for yourself. And you have to draw that line in the sand where you say, okay, I'm going to do my work, I'm going to do my hours, I'm going to get the shit done that I need to get, but at the same time, I'm still going to make time for myself, whether that's going to the gym, whether that's reading a book, whether it's fucking watching a movie, whatever it is that makes you happy. That's time for yourself. I would encourage fitness, obviously, but whatever it is that helps you just stay happy. Whatever healthy vice it is that you have, make the time for yourself. Spend time with your family. Lean on your friends. Spend time with your friends in a healthy way. Don't limit all your time with your friends to going out, drinking, and partying. It should be healthy times, doing a podcast, going for a run, meeting up for lunch, a healthy lunch, and obviously focusing on your mental health. I never talked to anybody, therapist, psychologist. I didn't look up the science behind all of these sensations and feelings I was feeling, so I didn't know if it was a medical issue, is it a mental issue. I had no clue what all these things were that I experienced, and I neglected myself. I didn't seek help. I didn't go and talk to a therapist or psychologist or try to learn the science or go to my doctor and vice versa. So I would encourage you, if you are feeling certain emotions or dealing with mental health, it's okay to talk to a therapist or a psychologist. I really encourage it. You introduced me to Ira, which has been fantastic. Ira was great. I also started talking to psychologists who helped me understand the science of my anxiety, the panic attacks, the way that our mind has control over physical sensations in our body. And so really helping educate myself mentally was great, but I realized you need time. You have to take care of your mental health. And the mental health could be going to the gym, going for a 10-mile run to yourself, spending time with your girlfriend, spending time with your dog, whatever it is, and it's subjective for everybody. You have to make sure there's a healthy balance of that. Work is great. Work is stressful. It's good to hustle. In some weeks, you got to work 60, 70-hour weeks. Sometimes you got to get it done, but that's not sustainable. You have to find a healthy balance. And I wish I did that a long time ago because I would have never fell in that rut I did, but I'm glad I did because it taught me what I neglected. And so now, sure, could I work more hours and make more money? Of course I could, but I get my shit done for the most part. But I make sure I have time for myself, hang out with my family, my friends, my working out, the run club, the running. I have playing my guitar, spending time with my dog Willow. The little things like that have helped me in my happiness so much that it's really hard to explain, but long-winded answer, like a typical attorney, but focus on your mental health.
Tremendo argument.
your physical health, and make sure you set that time aside. Don't let work consume you and control your life, because at the end of the day, if you die, your employer is going to hire someone the next day, and sure, maybe your employer said, oh shit, yeah, Gio's not here anymore, we're going to find someone else to do probate. We're sad. Okay. But eventually the world keeps on going. And just like Sonny said in A Bronx Tale, at the end of the day, no one fucking cares. Nobody cares. Life goes back to being life when you're gone. But the people, that doesn't apply, though, to the people that are really close in your life, your family, your friends, your significant other. So it's important to really enhance that value and spend time with them, because your work and, like I said, all that's bullshit. But the time and your relationships with your friends and family and your significant others, that should always come before work, with a healthy balance, of course. So that's what I took from it. And so I guess in conclusion, don't stop working. Have faith in your vision. Continue to just take steps forward. And eventually things will fall into your lap when you least suspect it, as long as you put in the work. It may not be a year or 2 years. You may not know. But eventually, if you keep planting those seeds and taking those steps, life will work out and you will succeed. And obviously take care of your mental health and make sure you take care of yourself. Because if you can't take care of yourself, the work and everything else, you need both. You need to fuel the engine.
Well, you got to be selfish to be selfless. That's for sure. Well, I appreciate you coming on, brother.
Of course,
I
man.
really do. This
of course,
is great.
It was great. It was overdue.
I'm very proud of you, man. I really am.
I think anyone that watches this, hopefully they get some value from it.
Oh, they're gonna get a ton of value.
Sure, the real estate and probate shit's good, but
no. The real life.
I
shit
like
is
talking about the real life shit, because that's stuff that people don't see. People see the HUDs, the probates, the final judgments, the wins on the cases, but people don't realize what comes with it in life. And
no, this is real, raw, like men talking like, oh shit, this actually, there's so much shit that sucks on
being
the way
vulnerable,
here.
Talking about our fuck ups in life, where we've been at. And honestly, man, I think something that's really helped me a lot too, with like the anxiety, the panic attacks, is just talking about it. If you would ask me 5 years if I'd go on a podcast with thousands of people watching that I would admit in public that I had these issues, no fucking chance. And I suffered in silence for a long time. So being able to just express it and say it on a public forum is very liberating, and it just makes you feel like you're not alone, with what you're suffering. And I guarantee you there's someone that's going to watch this and say,
guaranteed,
I'm glad Gio or Will talked about this, because I'm going through the same shit, and I'm glad that they actually brought it up and are okay with talking about it. And as men in today's society, it's very frowned upon to show weakness, to not be, the man of the house and always have an answer for everything. And it's okay to be vulnerable. It shouldn't be like this all the time, 24/7, but it's okay to say that you're not okay, or that you're dealing with difficulties to the right people.
Yeah.
But obviously, bitching about it and crying about it ain't going to do nothing if you're not taking proactive steps to fix it.
Yeah, it's okay. it's normal and it's life to have those things. Mike on the podcast before you said something really good. He said, compartmentalize it. There's a place for it. Process it, but you have to keep going. Right. And I firmly subscribe to that mindset. I've had this ongoing case for almost 3 years. It's taken a lot out of me, not just financially, but physically, mentally, whatever. But again, it only takes out of me what I let it take out of me. RF was born. Mm-hmm. Things have evolved. If people see me on the outside looking in, they're like, dude, this guy's life is fucking money. He just got a McLaren. Right. Oh, he just got the rolls. Like, blah, blah. Oh, yeah, great. Listen, comes with a lot of fine print and a lot of disclaimers and a shit ton of asterisks, okay? So, and his does too, and anyone who's successful does. So I appreciate you coming on. Of course. I love the fact of how vulnerable you are. I appreciate that. I think that shows more about you as a man than anything. So I'm extremely proud of you, of where you're at. And I appreciate it, man. I appreciate you. So thank you.
All right.
All right. Peace.